Good morning, football fans, and welcome to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week, day number 1. NFC Week is officially in the books. We got through half of the NFL, and it's about that time to take on the other half as we are ready and set for AFC Week, talking the AFC West. What a place to start, right? This division, to some people, is known as the new powerhouse division of the NFL. Now, I certainly will not disagree. There are so many monstrous athletes in this division, and it for sure is going to leave its mark in the NFL, the AFC West of this season. Mark my words, this is going to be a fun year. Now, I personally believe that it's real close between the AFC West and the NFC West, who is truly the most powerful. But man, it's between those two. And today, we're getting ready to talk about those Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and those Kansas City Chiefs. Man, this is going to be a fun show. Will the Chargers, some say they're the most complete team in the NFL. Some say this could be the year that they not only get an AFC West title, but hoist a Lamar Hunt and a Lombardi. The Raiders, after 2 decades of just being terrible, have now become a playoff caliber team. Will this be their year to make it happen and maybe go further to that Lamar Hunt and maybe a Lombardi? Are they that good? Will the Broncos, with the new sheriff in town, Russell Wilson, take this team to the playoffs and possibly further? Or will those Chiefs hold strong as they have the last couple of years? And will they possibly hoist another Lombardi? You are now tuned in live to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week, day number 1, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome, football fans. Well, here we are yet again. Another Monday, another division. This has been awesome. Last year was great, but this is certainly my favorite 8 divisions in 8 days. This has been, 5 years now I've been doing this, or 4 years, somewhere around there, doing the entire 8 divisions in 8 days deal. And this has been so much fun. This week, this 8 divisions in 8 days is absolutely incredible. The fans have really been coming out, and we have really had ourselves quite the turnout. Last week, I guess, one more time, can we get a hand clap? Can we get an applause for all those awesome teams of the NFC? Yeah, that was a great week. So many diehards, and well, here we are talking AFC now. So this is day number 5 of 8 divisions in 8 days, and well, we're going to start off with a bang. This AFC West, this AFC West is what I'm saying is, the AFC West has been the AFC West for over 20 years now or something like that, but this particular AFC West, the 2022-2023 AFC West, is a different animal. The Chargers have built probably one of the best football teams I've seen in my day. I mean, they're powerful everywhere, and they just keep adding. Now they got Khalil Mack, an ex-Raider over there, an ex-Bear. I mean, they have a absolute psycho defense, and this offense is incredible. Herbert just continues to show how good he is. The offensive line they've built around him, they've given him weapons. I mean, seriously, this is one hell of a team. Then we talk about the Raiders. The Raiders are an absolute 180 from what they were just even years ago, even a couple of years ago. growing up as a diehard Raider fan, seeing, especially like in high school, I got to see the Super Bowl where they got smashed by the Buccaneers, and ever since then, we've been horrible. 1 year in 2016, where they were good, kind of. They made the playoffs, cool, and then that was it. Back to being just, bad again for a couple of years. Last year, finally breaking through and making the playoffs. How good can they be this year? Can they overthrow the Chargers like they did last year in Week 18? Can we get down to a game like that for the division this year? Will the Chargers be too far ahead? I don't know. We'll see. The Denver Broncos are a team that has done something like this before. Now, Russell Wilson and Peyton Manning are two different quarterbacks, but both of them are damn good. Okay, leaders of their teams for years. Manning with the Colts, now Russell Wilson with the Seahawks. And good old John Elway brought over Peyton Manning, and it turned into a Super Bowl. Will this be the same deal? Is all they need a good quarterback? Because Russell Wilson is still, in my opinion, very top-notch. And the Kansas City Chiefs. They have been the monster of the AFC West for the last couple of years. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, this defense has been top-notch. Yes, there's a few players who departed, but guess what? They have more players. They just went and got more players. This Chiefs team is still very potent and still very scary and still very capable of winning the AFC West and still very capable, in my opinion, of winning the Lombardi. All four of these teams are damn good. And watching this year, how is it that, it's just the way it happened, right? The NFC West will be taking on the AFC West this year. How about that, right? I think that's incredible. That is going to be a sight to see all these teams going at each other. Let's really see who's best. Because we can say, this division and this division. Well, this year they're going heads up. That's what I'm talking about. It's going to be fun, guys. So, I hope you're ready for a wild ride. Coming up first, we have here Mr. Taryn Rodriguez of IE Sports Radio talking about his Chargers. Then we're starting our journey today in Los Angeles, heading east to talk about those Raiders with Mr. Cale Henderson, also of IE Sports Radio. Then we are heading on over to the Rocky Mountains to talk Broncos country. We're heading on over to Broncos country, if you will, to talk with Mr. Ron about those Broncos. And then we're going to finish off our journey today in Chiefs Kingdom, heading on over to Kansas City to talk Chiefs with our very own Brandon, the franchise buck, in our PR department of IE Sports Radio, in our PR department. And, we'll leave the rest up to you guys. With that said, go hit that voting poll. Man, I really want to see who you guys think is going to win this year. Head on over to @3andout, all spelled out, IESR, and let us know who you think is going to win the AFC West this season. That poll will be up at the end of this show. I'm curious to see what you guys think. With that said, y'all, it's about that time to get in our first interview of the day. It is Mr. Taryn Rodriguez of IE Sports Radio talking Chargers. Coming on up after this break. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week, day number 1, AFC West. I hope you're ready. It's going to be a show, y'all. Grab your popcorn. It's going to be a good one. Talking Chargers, coming up with Taryn Rodriguez right after this.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America? What if I told you in all other states, basketball is just basketball? In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins, the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar, bold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of a sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we've got you covered. More than cornfields. More than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on 90 Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans, and here we are, off to the races as the AFC West is officially underway. Remember, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, the start of AFC West, the kickoff of AFC week, as we're starting things off here with the AFC West. Well, we got 16 teams to go in the NFL to finish off 8 divisions in 8 days, and this is number 1, and I'm glad to have him here because this guy is like number 1 on this station. Glad to have him here. Glad to just praise him for all that he does, as always, man. He is host of, my goodness, 2.5, I guess you could say, shows here at IE Sports Radio. He is host of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, our volleyball show discussing all things volleyball. The guy brings on so many amazing guests. He freaking blows my mind every time. He is the host of the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, talking everything you need to know about Southern California sports. Everything, guys, from the Dodgers to the Storm. I mean, this guy is amazing. He talks pretty much everything. Love having him here. He is my co-host on 3 and Out College Edition coming up in just a few weeks here. I mean, the guy does everything here at IE Sports Radio. He's one of the COOs. He is just all over it, helping manage all of the teams. The guy writes blogs. He has recently been nominated for the Burger Award, which I really hope he wins because he freaking deserves it. The guy's awesome, man. He's got a resume 1,000 pages long, and every time he's on the show here, I'm just so glad that he can make the time. He's a busy guy, but I know he's doing so many great things, and can we just go ahead and throw one more thing on top? He is an IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer, class of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, so glad to have him here today to talk about his Los Angeles Chargers. After that gigantic introduction, ladies and gentlemen, welcome him, man. Great guy, great overall person, and glad to call him a dear friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. What's going on, Taryn? How you doing today, brother?
Hey, Larry B. Thank you for the introduction. Glad to be back on 8 divisions in 8 days, and I'm ready to do this thing.
Hey, brother. We're glad to have you back, and we're ready to do the dang thing, too, man. Your Chargers are about as nasty as it gets. I mean, I'm just going to start off the entire AFC week like this. I mean, it's hard to not pick you guys. I'm a Raider. Kale and I are going to discuss the Raiders after the Chargers here in this show, but I just got done talking to him right now. He agrees. We all agree, man. The Chargers are the cream of the crop this year, and it's hard to not give you guys the AFC West as tough as you are. Now, in the playoffs, it's a different story, of course, but my goodness, the regular season, you guys, man, and that's, of course, just our fandom kicking in, but you guys have potential to be as far as you want to go, in my opinion. So, let's take a look at the Chargers last season, man. You guys just... my goodness. How about this team, man? Last year, the AFC West was, it was fun. It was crazy seeing last year. You guys, of course, finishing here. Let's take a look at the overall. Let's take a look wherever the heck it went. I just lost it. That was wonderful. Okay, let's try this one more time. Sorry about that, Taryn. All right, here we go. So, last year, you guys have finished third place, 9-8. I know it was a heartbreaker for you, Taryn. Silly and I were over here jumping up and down when the Raiders made that field goal at the end of that game. I think that game summarized not only the Raider-Charger rivalry, but it summarized how diehard both of these teams really are. I mean, the Raiders went up early. The Chargers got right back in it. The Raiders had like 10 chances to put it away. The Chargers didn't let the Raiders put it away. The Chargers forced overtime. The Raiders could have put it away in overtime. You didn't let us. I mean, we went down to the final moments. We almost had a freaking tie. Okay, the Steelers almost got in because of a tie. Are you serious? I mean, that game was amazing. And it just goes to show you how diehard this team really is, and there's no quit in this team. So you finished third last year at 9-8, but my goodness, I think it's going to be a different story this year. Last year, man, let's talk about this schedule. I guess I can sum it up all with that, but you start off the year here, courtesy of FBschedules.com. Win at Washington, you lose at Dallas, then 3-game win streak, a 2-game lose streak. You guys, after that, 1-1, lost 1, 1-1, lost 1, 1-2, lost a heartbreaker in Kansas, or at home, versus Kansas City in overtime. You lost again to the Texans, which is a real head-scratcher in my opinion. Then for that game, you defeated the Denver Broncos, and it came all the way down to week 17 or 18, and, well, that was the loss in Vegas. Taryn, can you give us every raw emotion as a Charger fan throughout that roller coaster season?
Well, I think you put it perfectly. I think it was a roller coaster season. We had our ups and then downs, and then we went left and right with the wins and losses. And you mentioned the Texans loss. Yes, the Chargers had like a chunk of their players out due to COVID, but there was no excuse. The Texans also had players out due to COVID, and I should also make note that the Chargers lost 5 games by 1 score. Now, 2 of those games were basically decided. The Vikings and the Patriots were basically already decided in that moment where the Chargers were down 2 scores and they needed some sort of miracle and they just didn't get it. Now, the loss to the Cowboys could have been avoided. The loss to the Chiefs definitely could have been avoided. And then the Raiders one, obviously it could have been avoided, but I'm going to give you all the Raiders props. The Raiders definitely deserve that one. I'm not baloney sausaging anybody. I think the Raiders really earned that victory. There's no doubt in my mind they deserve to make the playoffs. With how much adversity they had to overcome, it was quite astounding. So back to the Chargers. Yeah, it was an up and down season in terms of the whole thing, and it was a roller coaster. And it just left me disappointed, but it's looking like the Chargers are getting better. Like, they didn't have too many one-score losses, and I think they finally found the right personnel, and they improved their win sum by 2 games. So I'm just trying to look at the positives. And they also lowered their loss total by 2 as well.
Taryn, thank you for that, by the way. Those mad props to the Raiders. Yeah, definitely had to overcome a lot, but my goodness, man, you Chargers had to overcome a lot, too. I mean, it's a very tough year. COVID did no favors for anybody, and it's continuing to not do any favors for anybody. But, of course, things are getting better, thank God. But I'll tell you, man, what a season. Let's take a look at your guys' free agency, and just what a season you guys had off season, man. Khalil Mack. He will make his way over. He used to wear the silver and black. Then he went to go wear blue and orange. And, well, he traded in that blue and orange for a lighter blue and yellow, or gold now, as he is headed over to play man, it's going to be weird seeing him over there. But I could see him like a Sean Phillips type of, Sean Merriman type of guy, man. That guy's a freaking beast, and I could see him go over there and play so well. The way that I know he can, man. You guys would get Gerald Everett tied in from the Seahawks. That was pretty big. Bryce Callahan coming over from the Broncos. J.C. Jackson also coming over. I mean, my gosh, man, a lot of big moves for you guys. Kyler Fackrell would actually head on over to the Raiders. You would have Nwosu. That must have been a tough one, Taryn, because I know you, like me, are a USC guy. We got to see Nwosu at USC. Then he would go to your Chargers, and now I know it's probably going to be sucky to see him go to the Seahawks, but he's on his way over there. You guys, of course, Andre Roberts would head over to the Panthers, Steven Anderson over to the Cardinals. I mean, it's a lot of big moves. Kazir White, that's got to be a tough one over to the Eagles because I thought he was pretty solid. But what do you think about this year in free agency for the Chargers, Taryn?
So I think it's definitely going to be another improved season. The Chargers really improved their defense. Obviously made note of J.C. Jackson. That was big right there because they needed a much experienced corner, and they also needed someone to like aid with Michael Davis and Asante Samuel Jr. And then getting Khalil Mack was a steal. All we needed to do was trade a second rounder to the Bears. I think it was like a fifth rounder as well. But we really got Khalil Mack for practically nothing. Mm-hmm. And then you also mentioned the departures. So the Uchenna Nwosu thing, that was because Mike Williams, the Chargers extended Mike Williams, and now he'll be the wide receiver too for longer. And for Uchenna Nwosu, I do wish him the best. It was an honor. I really liked him. I really thought he was big time. And he was the hero in that 2018 playoff game when the Chargers beat the Ravens, when he wrapped up Lamar Jackson, forced the fumble, and Melvin Ingram was the one that recovered. So, yeah, and back to the defense, the Chargers getting Bryce Callahan was also huge. And obviously they had a little departures, but I want to say, didn't the Chargers sign the Washington's kickoff returner? Because special teams was an issue. I hate that the Chargers couldn't keep Andre Roberts, but it is what it is. But getting Washington's kickoff returner is also amazing. And getting Gerald Everett is also good as well, just because their tight end is a huge question mark. Obviously, they have Donald Parham, and they had Jared Cook from last year, but Jared Cook is out of here, and Gerald Everett, I think, is going to make a great impact. And I want to say he gets to be reunited with Brandon Staley. Granted, Staley was the defensive coordinator for the Rams, but I think now that he's back in LA, he now has that familiarity with him and whatnot. So I think the Chargers are destined for a good season. It's just all about keeping everyone healthy and all about basically taking care of business on the field.
Solid, Taryn. I couldn't agree more. But let's take a look at this draft, man. The first round, you guys got the 17th overall pick. And wouldn't you know it, man, Mr. Zion Johnson. Taryn, I love it. I just, you have a guy at quarterback that is just a generational talent. Yeah, you kind of want to get him the best protection you can get him. And he's underrated. I feel some people didn't really realize how good he is. But honestly, Zion Johnson's a freaking beast out of Boston College. What a pickup there at guard. Certainly a guy that can help out in protecting, of course, Mr. Herbert. Then you guys don't have a second round. Third round, J.T. Woods, safety out of Baylor. Another, a need for the secondary, some depth there. Overall, man, not, I guess some people would say it wasn't the greatest draft, but at the same exact time, I think you guys got exactly who you needed. Isaiah Spiller, running back out of Texas A&M. I just feel like you guys had, a pretty good draft. But that's not for me to say. That's for you, good sir. So what did you guys think about your draft? Or what did you think about your guys' draft this year, Taryn?
So I thought the Chargers draft was actually pretty good. It didn't scream like Jets draft or Jaguars draft or Lions draft, because those guys had really good drafts. But I thought the Chargers picks were solid. You mentioned Zion Johnson. I thought it was a great pickup. And considering that every team in the AFC West is starting to get better with, like, the Raiders having Max Crosby, the Broncos having Justin Simmons, and then the Chiefs and their stingy defense, I think they still have, like, Kadarius Ward or whatnot. I think the Chargers are going to need all the protection in terms of the O-line that they're going to get, just because you're going to be facing big boys on that defensive front. And not just in the AFC West, in the entire NFL in general. Like, the Chargers are playing Aaron Donald and the Rams. So the Chargers can't afford to let Justin Herbert get sacked. The Chargers are improving that O-line, so that's a plus right there. I don't think it's the best in the division. Like, that's up for another debate. But back to the Chargers draft, I really like J.T. Woods. His speed is what really astounds me. I think he can really mesh well with Derwin James, and I think that was kind of an underrated pick. Now, the fourth-round pick was kind of an interesting one. Many people had question marks on why the Chargers selected Isaiah Spiller. Well, the Chargers don't have a running back, too. Justin Jackson is gone as he hit the road for free agency. And all that leaves us is Austin Eckler and the running back room filled with Joshua Kelly, who I'm not going to get into, and then the running back from Missouri, whose name I'm blanking on. But I think Isaiah Spiller is a great pickup at running back just because the Chargers need that running back too. And fun fact about Isaiah Spiller, he's only fumbled the ball 3 times in his college career, and I think he had over 2,000 carries at Texas A&M. So I think this is a promising pickup. And then I want to say the Chargers drafted Ode Obushi from UCLA, and I think that was a great pickup. But overall, I think the Chargers draft was vastly underrated. So, yeah.
I'll tell you, I am right there with you. Solid stuff there, Taryn. Great analysis. And, of course, I mean, you do the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So you really do follow, all of these teams. UCLA, USC. So, I mean, you take a look at the young man. I really can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to butcher it. But you look at him out of UCLA, and you can see the value that some people that don't follow can. So, also just wonderful stuff there. Wonderful analysis. So, Taryn, taking a look here at the schedule, of course, that very tough AFC West. I'll tell you right now, I think it's the new powerhouse division of the NFL alongside of the NFC West. But, dude, the schedule. The AFC West, of course, we have this year the AFC South. I'm not going to call it a cupcake division because they're not. But, man, there's some – it's a trip. I don't know. They're versatile. Some aren't that great. Some are pretty solid. So we have that. And then, of course, we also take on the NFC West. As I just mentioned right now, that is a very tough division. So the two powerhouse divisions are going head-to-head, in my opinion, at least my opinion. The two powerhouse divisions of the NFL are going head-to-head. And then we have the AFC South. And then the couple of outliers for you guys this year looks like, let's see here, who are the outliers? Oh, the Browns in the AFC North and the Falcons in the NFC South. Looking at the schedule right now, Taryn, what are you thinking for your Chargers this year?
So before I get into the schedule, I do have to correct myself. It was Otito Ogbonnia that was drafted out of UCLA for the Chargers. So that was my apologies on that one. But back to the Chargers schedule. Yeah, the entire NFC West is going to be a gauntlet. Even the Seahawks could be an interesting case just because obviously they have the coin toss of Drew Lock or Geno Smith, but they still have some potent players on that team, such as DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And that might be an interesting matchup just because Everett gets to face his former team. But as for the Chargers as a whole, I'm also kind of looking forward to the Dolphins matchup between Tua and Justin Herbert. I think it's going to be a great underrated matchup. Some were saying that it was going to be on Sunday Night Football, but I feel that it's still going to be an underrated matchup. And then the Chargers having 5 primetime games is going to be quite nice. I want to say they get 2 Sunday nighters, 2 Monday nighters, and 1 Thursday night game against the Chiefs. And then obviously alluded to the AFC South. I really think that is going to be vastly tough. I think the Jaguars have improved. The Texans, as I learned the hard way, is not a guaranteed matchup. And then the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, that's going to prove to be a test for the Chargers' run defense, which was completely hideous last year. And then facing Derrick Henry is also going to be tough on the Titans. Another test for the Chargers, hopefully improved run defense, because the Chargers finished bottom 5 in terms of run defense. So this year, I'm hoping for improvements. It is going to be a tough schedule, but I feel the Chargers have that potential. I feel they can take that next step and get to the playoffs, because once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. Look at the Raiders. They almost pulled off the win on the road against the Bengals. Speaking of the Bengals, you look at them and the Rams, they managed to win their way up through the playoffs, and they actually won on the road in the divisional round. So I feel once you make the playoffs, anything can happen, and that's kind of my thing that I really hope for. Justin Herbert and the Chargers getting into the playoffs, because once you're in the playoffs, 0-0, new season, anything can happen. Everyone's going to be playing their guts out.
Man, that was a great sum up there, Taryn. I'm looking forward to this year. Well, there's only one more segment left to go, and you know what it is, Taryn. You know, I know, we all know. You are the one setting the tone for AFC Week here on Stick It To 'Em. This is the segment where you can, of course, talk however you'd like to about the rest of the division. You got 3 teams you really don't like, and they don't like you right back. Well, now's your chance to talk about how you think they're going to do this season. You can be kind and respectful. You can be mean and ugly, or a mix of the two. Taryn, without further ado, brother, 2 minutes on the clock. Stick it to them.
That's for me to get, mean and nasty on the entire division, considering all 3 of these teams, all 4 of those teams, the Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, are all going to be really good this year. And I really think it's going to be a dogfight. I think all those matches are going to be pay-per-view matches. But for purposes of I got to stick it to them, I'm going to stick it to them. So let's talk the Broncos here. So the Broncos pulled kind of a Los Angeles Rams. They basically traded picks, traded good personnel, and I guess their starting quarterback, for Russell Wilson. They just said, blow it up. We're getting Russell Wilson. Come on down, buddy. So here's my thing for the Broncos. I want to say Russell Wilson is the oldest quarterback in the division. I feel that if his running skills is still good, I think the Broncos can do great things. The wide receiver duo of Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton is going to be huge. The running back duo of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams is going to be big. And then keep an eye out for Greg Dulcich, the UCLA tight end that the Broncos selected, a pick after the Chargers, mind you. But I feel the Broncos are going to be a work in progress. I think they're going to be boom or bust, kind of like the Rams were last year. I'm not going to say that the Broncos are going to have success, but they're still going to be boom or bust, and they're still going to be in the category of I think they could still do good, but who's to say? Now, the Raiders, I think, are going to do good as well. I think getting Devontae Adams is huge. I expect them to actually win the games that they're supposed to win, because last year the Raiders had a couple of head-scratching losses, which was to Washington and the Giants, which I'm not going to get into them just because I want to be respectful, but I want to be a little mean and nasty at the same time. So the Raiders have no excuses this time. With all that star power, they should be able to possibly contend for that AFC West crown. And now we have the Chiefs. I'm just going to wonder why the heck the Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill. I understand Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback, but they kind of replaced him with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, and a wide receiver that they signed in the draft, following the draft from Clemson. Now, obviously losing Tyreek Hill is huge. I really think that's going to be a work in progress for the Chiefs. And I'm just going to say this. I don't think anyone is fearing the Chiefs anymore. They lost Tyrann Mathieu, lost Tyreek Hill. Patrick Mahomes is now going to have to be more patient. He can't just, throw the ball down deep, hoping for Tyreek to, catch it, because there is no more effort Tyreek down there somewhere. And eventually the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, and every team that faces the Chiefs is going to catch on to Mahomes' strategy. I mean, look at what the Bucs did. Look at what the Titans did. The Titans thumped the Chiefs. So I'm just going to also say that no one fears the Chiefs anymore. The Chiefs are eventually going to be found out. And while I do respect Patrick Mahomes, and I do have some Chiefs fans that I like, such as Bobby Chizinski, I'm just going to say Chiefs' top spot on the AFC West is in danger. I feel the Raiders, Broncos, Chargers can knock them off their pedestal. And you can't go wrong with picking an AFC West champion between those four. Any of them will probably do. You just got to have a decent excuse or a decent reasoning. Sorry if it went over 2 minutes.
Darren, wonderful job, brother. Thank you so much for your great input. Way to stick it to him. Man, we appreciate you so much for all you do here on the station. And like I said, brother, it's just great every single time. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for all of your great input here today. Way to start off AFC week, man, with them Chargers. And, well, let's see what they do this year. With that said, Darren, you know the drill, brother. Where can all these diehard Chargers fans find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Taryn Rodriguez1, and you can find my volleyball content on Twitter at set_point.ie. And then you can also follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show at SoCal Show IESR. But my main account is at Taryn Rodriguez1. You can also follow my Instagram at Taryn Rodriguez1992. I don't really post a whole lot there, but who knows? Maybe I'll try to get back into the swing of things. And keep an eye out for all the other things that Setpoint could have to offer. Yeah, I'm basically been saying it on Twitter that we could be at the NBA playoffs. iSports Radio could be making that little debut, and we could be seeing the U.S. Women's Olympic team nearby. So just a little hint right there.
Taryn, great stuff as always, man. Where's that applause button, brother? Thank you so much once again for everything. We appreciate you, and please just keep up the great work, man. I feel like I can't even praise you enough. I try really hard, but I feel like it's just no good with as good as you do, man. So thank you for everything. Keep it up, Silly, and I appreciate you. I know the entire IE Sports Radio family appreciates you, man. And we just want to, once again say thank you for that. And thank you for your time today, man. I know you're a busy guy. You work like freaking all the time. Like you do a ton. But thank you so much for giving us a little time here today. And we really look forward to 3 and Out College Edition, man. We got a few more weeks here to go, and I'm really excited to get back underway and talk college football with you every weekend, man.
I'm really looking forward to College Edition as well. It just feels weird not having to call you on that Saturday or Friday and then just talk college football. But now I'm going to start getting back into the swing of things, and we're going to have lots of fun on College Edition.
No, man, especially this year, new format. We got all kinds of cool stuff looking at, man. We got to talk about that as well. But once again, man, thanks a lot. Take care, brother. God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful week. Rest of your Sunday. Have a wonderful week, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, Larry. Thanks for having me. And may the best team win the AFC West.
I love it. You're absolutely correct, man. May the best team win. So, hey, brother, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Take care, brother. All right, so I was Taryn Rodriguez. One more applause, man. You can't give that guy enough applause, right? Great dude, and seriously looking forward to a great season. With that said, you guys, that is going to do it for the first team here for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now it's time to head on over to Vegas, to Sin City, to talk about those Los Angeles Raiders with my boy, Mr. Cale Henderson. Always a great treat talking with him. And then, of course, we're headed on over to talk about them Broncos, and then off to Chiefs Kingdom. So over to Broncos country, and then on over to Chiefs Kingdom. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week, day number 1. 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 5, if you will. And, of course, you are listening to all of that right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're coming back talking Raiders right after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA to the grand slams of the MLB to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we are, AFC West Day. We just finished up with Mr. Taryn Rodriguez talking about the Los Angeles Chargers and the second team up today. Of course, a team very near and dear to my heart and very near and dear to the man on the line at the moment. We're getting ready, Raider Nation, to talk about those Las Vegas Raiders. And of course, here to help me out, talking about our Raiders. Glad to have him here. He is once upon a time host of the Neutral Zone. He is also, of course, diehard Raider fan. He is football coach. Tell you right now, this guy is awesome. Does a hell of a job coordinating, I think, an entire team. He'll tell us what he does in a few moments here. But coach, and he does everything else, I think, that goes along with it. At a little bit of the lower level, the guy does a hell of a job. I'm really excited to hear all about his season, their season, coming up this year. And can we not forget, he is the host of Sin City Sports here on Tuesday evenings on IE Sports Radio. Phenomenal job every week. There's things that I learn about. He's like a freaking Snapple with Las Vegas sportsmen. I love it. I learn stuff every single time. Glad to have him here. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cale Henderson. What's going on, Cale? How's it doing today, brother?
Ladies and sinners, what's happening? Happy to join. Thanks, Larry. It's been a long time, right? Took a while for us to talk, like 3 years. Otherwise, it's been text message or messages on Twitter. Glad to get back in it, man. Last time we interviewed was what got me the job with the Neutral Zone. You were like, hey, dude, I need you here. It's like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Dude, you know your hockey so damn well. I'm glad to have you back. You know your hockey. You know pretty much anything that has to do with sports pretty damn good. I mean, seriously. So I'm very happy about that. And bringing you back aboard, man. I know you had a at the time you had to depart. You had your really, really busy job and everything, but everything kind of mellowed out for you. You had some more time, and there was no way, man. When I was like, okay, we're looking for a Vegas sports show, you were the first guy. I was like, I gotta see if I can get Cale, man. I gotta see if he'll do this, and I'm very happy you have the time for us, man. We just got to promote your show better and get it more out there, but you definitely have a damn good show. I love listening every week, man. I definitely love hearing what you have to say about the silver and black. So with that said, brother, let's go ahead and jump on into the AFC West from last year. You know, it wasn't a bad year. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. We finished off the season at 10-7. Of course, the Chiefs would win it to 12-5. We would have here the Raiders, of course. No, it was a very tough year overall, man. The Raiders at 10-7 last year. It was a stake in the heart, man. It was a very tough one to watch. I don't know. As a diehard, it was rough because I knew that we were better than a lot of teams we played. It's just we didn't win, and it just sucks to know. Like, yeah, I felt we were definitely the better team, but we didn't look like the better team on the field today. That sucks. But then again, there were games where we're like, yes, this is what we know and love. And then, of course, all the crap happened. We all, don't want to get into it, but all the crap happened with just everything last year seemed to punch us in the face in different directions. But we still managed to make the playoffs. Now, you know what, Kale? If I gotta be 1,000% honest with Raider fans and myself, I know I'm very harsh on the Raiders, and everyone knows that. But my gosh, man, that Bengals game, I couldn't ask for any more. They literally left everything out. They came down to the final freaking drive. What was it, 4th and 12 or whatever, outside of our end zone? I mean, we're outside of their end zone. I'm just saying, man. The Raiders fought like hell last year, and I'm very glad they did. 10-7 last year, and I am fully hopeful that they can do even better than that this year and challenge those Chiefs. So it's a little bit of my input there, a little bit of positivity about the Raiders to start things off with. Kale, last year, man, I'll tell you what, these Raiders, it just kind of, I don't know, it was very rough to see how some of these games would end up. It really, really was. So courtesy here of FB Schedules, we ended up at 10-8, of course, but we started the season 3-0, man. Hell of a job. Then we drop 2, we win 2, we drop another 3 in a row. Those damn drops are what killed us. We beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving in overtime. That was probably my favorite games of the entire season. We lost 2 in a row, and then we finished off the season at 4-0. Amazing job. Then we lost a very close game to Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Kale, give us every raw emotion you can from last year's season as a Raider, man.
I think it's really important to touch on, the off-field side and the on-field side, right? The off-field was just tumultuous, right? You just had the Henry Ruggs situation, the injuries that started to pile up, the John Gruden situation, and, that 3-game slide after that Chargers loss, if you look at it, completely coincides with those off-field issues, and they happened within a month of each other. 2 major parts of your team, whether it be in the coaching staff or on the roster, departed for reasons that weren't, they were the fault of their own. Don't get me wrong, but the Gruden, I'll say it like this, man, the Gruden thing was a hit job. No one thinks otherwise anymore. Yes, he didn't come off to be a very good human being anymore, and it kind of sucks because I think everybody was really excited for that second round at Chucky. And what happened. He doesn't deserve to be a coach anymore, but it was a hit job. The way that the NFL handled that was absolutely horrible. It was horrific. It looked terrible. And only the NFL could get away with it because of they're a license to print money. That's kind of the way the NFL is. And then the Henry Ruggs thing, which is unspeakable. We said it numerous times on the Sin City Sports Show. Our heart goes out to that family, that young girl, the dog, the family members, the friends. Mm-hmm. It was just heinous. You just can't drive drunk, man. That's a common sense thing in today's society. And then on top of that, 2 weeks after the Henry Ruggs situation, your cornerback gets popped, right? Now, he was inebriated. He was found in his car on the side of the road. Actually, it was in a parking lot, for that matter, and he was just reported. So that one isn't as bad, but it's just one of those things where the Gruden regime, it was obvious that the Gruden regime just didn't have the accountability factor, right? Mm-hmm. You just saw players kind of did what they wanted, and towards the end of the year, it happened 3 straight years, there was a meltdown, right? You'd be in playoff contention mode. You'd be in a situation where your record is good enough to make the playoffs, and then, the crap rolled down their leg. The diaper got full, Mm-hmm. They couldn't trust that season fart, and it just went right down their leg, and proverbial season just went to the crapper. So last year was a tiny bit different. I do think the departure of Gruden really forced the leadership of this team to finally step up, the Derek Carrs of the world, the Darren Wallers, and I'll put it like this. The defense stepped up. Rich Bisaccia, the interim head coach, stepped up. I think the assistants, they did the best they possibly could. But I give a ton of credit to Derek Carr because even though his statistics don't show it, nobody wants to talk about it. He was missing his deep threat. He had to throw to his number 1 receiver last year was a slot, and his number 2 was Zay Jones, who nobody really knew anything about, played for the Bills. He was traded to the Raiders for a 5th or a 6th round pick. So, they weren't really expecting a ton for him for that kind of value. And somehow Derek Carr still amassed with Darren Waller out for 7 games, by the way, 6 games, I apologize, 6 games, he still amasses 4,800 yards and leads his team to the playoffs when it mattered most. And the most important thing that went down was at the end of the season, that young offensive line group that was really struggling with their zone scheme switched to more of an inside zone power scheme, and all of a sudden that run game came to life, and we were sustaining drives. Josh Jacobs was rolling. He was healthy. The defense was getting more sacks because the offenses of the opposing teams were just behind most games, and that's kind of what led to that. And, it was a tumultuous season, to say the least. We shouldn't have lost to Washington. We shouldn't have lost to the Giants. You don't lose those 2 games, you're 12-5, right? And I thought those were huge games. Like those were the errors that really screwed the Raiders last year, because that could have been a situation where you're still second in the division, and I don't think your seeding really could have improved at that point because the chips laid where they were, but they were a better team in some cases than what they finished up for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't have said that better myself. Way to sum that up, Kale. Really, really good job, man. Better than I could do. I'd have been talking about that for like 40 minutes. So way to keep that like really, really good and compacted, man. Yeah, because great. You have that ability that I don't. That was a great way of doing that, man. I really, I love it. You really summed everything up in a very short time. That was awesome. I got to learn. I got to take some pointers from you. But yeah, man. This team looked solid, and you know what, man? I'm just so damn excited to see what we're going to get. I don't even care what anybody has to say. It's preseason. I'm ready for the Hall of Fame game, man. I'm going to be at practice, but trust me, I'm going to catch the freaking highlights and everything. Why? Because I don't care. It's Raider football, and we're in the Hall of Fame game, and it's freaking preseason. I want to see what we look like. I don't give a damn. It's a scrimmage, you know what I mean? That's all. I want to see what we have. That's all there is to it. So, taking a look here at overthecap.com. Free agency, oh man. Okay, so there were some big-time pickups, departures, all that good stuff. Corey Littleton over to the Panthers. We had Ngakoue, he's headed over to the Colts. Who else? Kwiatkowski, I don't know how to butcher his name, but he's headed over to the Falcons. So a couple players there on the defense. Morrow, also another linebacker. It's like a lot of our linebackers took off. Mariota is now headed over to the Falcons. Solomon Thomas, he's headed over to the Jets. So once again, man, a lot of our defense just split. Casey Hayward over to the Falcons. Zay Jones, solid receiver, I thought, but he's headed over to the Jags. But then we take a look at some of these pickups, man. We had a lot of departures, tons of them. You can go over as many as you'd like to. But also, we actually had a lot of big pickups, I thought, as well, man. The Raiders had a laundry list this year of free agency, and just seeing some of these guys. Chandler Jones. Can we address the freaking elephant in the room? Keelan Cole, I thought that was actually a pretty solid little pickup there. A little sleeper kind of receiver, in my opinion. Vernon Butler, solid. Jaylen Brown coming over from the Titans. Butler from the Bills. So overall, man, some good stuff there. Brandon Bolden, I thought that was pretty solid. Very happy about that one. So taking a look at a couple of these things here, these pickups and drops, let's take a little bit of a look throughout free agency. So, Kale, talk to us, man. What were your biggest pickups and departures of the Raiders free agency this year?
Well, yeah, we talk about the elephant in the room. The 2 biggest ones were Chandler Jones, who, in my opinion, was a massive upgrade over Ngakoue. Ngakoue may be younger, but he was a liability in the run game. I don't think people really talked about that as much as they should have. Was he an excellent pass rusher? Absolutely. But Chandler Jones is your all-around. He's just a football player, man. He's one of the best in the league. He's led the league in sacks and forced fumbles since 2012. We're talking about J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, all those guys in that company of pass rushers. Now, Aaron Donald may be, the freakishly most talented defensive tackle we might have ever seen in the NFL, but still, he's part of that pass rush echelon that we've seen in the league the last 10 years. And Chandler Jones has surpassed all of them. Yes, he's been in the league longer, but he's sustained success on a consistent basis. And I think the thing that he brings more than anything else is he has experience with this staff, dude. The biggest additions to me, and I'll put it in this order. Number 3, in terms of top 3, Chandler Jones. Number 2, the obvious one, Devontae Adams. What a hell of a trade. And that's, you want to talk about big cojones for Dave Ziegler?
Oh, yeah.
That was fantastic. You can't beat that. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. I know I got into it a little bit with our Arizona host, but I'm sorry. DeAndre Hopkins is not on the same level as Devontae Adams right now. DeAndre Hopkins is a hell of a receiver, and he has impact, but the stats don't lie, dude. Devontae Adams dominated the last 5 years for receivers.
Sure
Touchdowns, yards per reception. It's not even close. It really isn't. And I mean, I get it. DeAndre is talented, but he's not Devontae Adams right now. DeAndre might have a couple more good years in him compared to Devontae because of age difference, but Devontae was just huge. He unlocked so many things for the offense. And then number one, in my opinion, is Josh McDaniels and this staff. I don't like the Patriots. We have a thing against the Patriots because we're Raiders fans. Tuck rule. But at the end of the day, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, what Josh McDaniels is bringing, this staff is unreal. It really is. The way he assimilated this staff, from Patrick Graham, a defensive coordinator who was really the only bright spot for that Giants team the last 3 years. I love the fact that he's going to be calling plays. Josh McDaniels was a top 5 coach. He might, according to Rex Ryan, he's a top 10 coach in the league, period, even as an assistant. But he was a top 5 offensive coordinator for the last 15 years. 6-time Super Bowl winner. He's learned ad nauseum from the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. And the one thing I can tell you that's really showing in what you're seeing through all the social media and all the practices is accountability. He's going to make sure this team is prepared. He's going to make sure that they understand their assignments. And most importantly, we've heard situations where Derek Carr, your starting quarterback, who's going to be 31 this year, your young center, he's the incumbent starter, right? They fumble snaps, they're running laps. That's something you never heard from the last regime. This culture change with Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels is my number one addition for this Raiders team, and it's not talked about enough.
Beautiful.
Because we're going to see a more prepared, more assignment-driven, and more disciplined football team than we've ever seen. And I'll say this, you and I understand because we've watched film for years, this is going to be the most physical Raiders football team we've seen probably in the last decade.
By far.
They are huge. Huge. Like, they're massive. This is big, athletic human beings. When you look at the receiving room, like, for example, Mac Hollins is one of the guys we're not talking about enough. Everybody's raving about him. He's going to be the number 2 receiver next to Devontae Adams, right, on the other side. He'll probably be that X. He's huge, man. He's like 6'4", maybe 214 pounds, and they're saying he's picked up the offense. He's one of the smartest guys. You may or may not remember him, but in 2020, Raiders are hosting the Miami Dolphins, and a cover 2 was blown, and there was a guy with long hair catching that ball along the sideline from the Dolphins. That was Mac Hollins that we took up, that we snatched from the Dolphins in free agency. So, those would be my top 3 additions. It's not talked about enough. This team just looks light years different, and the leadership has definitely taken over. But you could tell that Josh McDaniels is a totally different coach than what he was back in Denver. He's hugging players. He's tapping them on the shoulder. You could tell the way he coaches from the sideline just in the videos that I've seen on YouTube. You take a chance, look at that. You see them talk to the coaches. Everybody's engaged with Josh. He's not the czar he was in Denver where he's in charge of everything. Here, he is more of a person, and he has definitely an assignment-driven attitude, and this team's going to be light years better. And they're not getting enough credit, dude. We're being picked to finish third. It wouldn't surprise me if we finished first. Like, it's first or third kind of thing, and that's kind of scary considering I think the Chargers have the most balanced team in our division, which is a gauntlet, the AFC West. But the Raiders are going to be a team that I just don't think anybody in the AFC West is prepared for because of how big and physical they're going to be.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, yeah, exactly, man. This team is nasty, and I love it. I love what we've got, man. You're right. The physicality is there. Just everything is coming on with it. And McDaniels, I mean, this is going to be such an exciting freaking year, and we're here for it, man. We're here for it. We're ready to rock and roll. So let's go ahead and jump on into the draft, Kale. We didn't really have much of a, big-time monster draft because, I don't know, we kind of have Devontae Adams, which is, in my opinion, probably the best thing you can possibly get out of the draft because, the youngster's cool, but at least we know exactly what we're getting, who we're getting. I mean, it couldn't have been a better storybook ending, at least for the era for Devontae Adams, in his Packer tenure, because, he ended it with heading over to play with his old quarterback from college at Fresno State. I love it. I feel like if he's going to go anywhere, at least he's going to miss the Packers. I totally understand that, but in Rodgers, but hell, if he had a choice to go anywhere else, that's where he'd want to go. So I'm just saying, I think we won in the draft by just simply that. But in the third round, Dylan Parham, offensive lineman out of Memphis. I love their jerseys. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I don't know. It's just a thing with me. The Memphis Tigers jerseys are amazing. So just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, I did get a chance to see this. Yeah, they're pretty freaking sweet. This guy's a solid athlete. I feel like going to add some more depth to the offensive line. Pretty solid there. Later on in the draft, of course, that was the third round. Fourth round, Zamir White. We got another guy, some depth back there out of Georgia. Pretty solid dude, especially him falling so late. So I mean, I'm gonna say Neil Farrell. More depth there on the defensive line at LSU. Could be a total sleeper. We got some pretty solid pickups, even for the later rounds. Gail, what do you think about the Raiders draft this year?
So I'm just going to add on to exactly what I said earlier. The number one addition was this new regime, right?
Yeah.
Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, do you understand how smart they were? These guys knew we had to spend our first and second round pick to get the best wide receiver in the NFL, because there's no way in hell they didn't think that all of those receivers would go way before we had an opportunity to pick.
Yep.
Think of it like that. From a strat perspective, they saw the draft board where it was, the teams where they were, their needs, what were their top needs, Lions, Saints, all those, and they knew, man, there was no way we were going to get one of the top receivers in the draft, so let's go after one of the top receivers in the NFL. This further just proves my point that Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels were the number one additions for this team. And it goes to show that they know how to evaluate where their position is and what's really going to set up their team for success in the future, not just this year, but 3 years down the road. We're a competitive team now. And if the way this draft played out is any indication into what we're seeing in the future when we do have first and second round picks, we're set up for success for 10 years, man. I'm telling you. Dylan Parham, our best case scenario is he doesn't start. I know it sounds weird because he's a third round pick, but our best case scenario is he doesn't start because John Simpson, Denzel Good, who's back from an injury, and Alex Leatherwood really step up and take over. I do believe Parham is one of the most versatile linemen in all of this draft. Like, he was very special. He could have been a first round guy. I think his size kind of did it to him, man. I think his size is what prevented him from being a first round pick. But he might be the starter at center next year. I don't think this staff is married to Andre James. Andre James almost has to have a near all-pro year to keep Dylan Parham from taking that spot next year. That's how good he is. And the best-case scenario is he's a backup this year, a depth piece that could fill in at any time if somebody goes down, and we don't really lose a lot of talent. We just lose experience. I think that's fantastic. Zamir White, to your credit, he was probably one of the better running backs in this draft, by far. He's a tank. His problem was he was on a big depth chart in Georgia, but he's still a monster, right? This guy's faster than Josh Jacobs, bigger, stronger, and faster than Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs is a monster himself. That's how talented Zamir White is. And he's probably going to be the starter next year because I just don't see this regime with their tendencies in the past coming from the Patriots. I don't see them bringing back Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. So to me, there's no reason why Zamir White can't be the third back in the depth chart, but be the first next year by getting all of this valuable information. I love what you said about Neil Farrell. He was the best nose tackle in this draft by far, especially in the run game, and he has nothing but upside in the pass rush. Matthew Butler was a fifth-year senior, and he was lauded as one of the smartest football players in this draft, period. Not to mention he's a plus pass rusher who's going to play probably the 5 technique in this 3-4 defense that Patrick Graham wants to run. And then Thayer Mumford, nobody's talking about him. He was going to be a first-round left tackle, not the 2022 draft, but 2021. He decided to come back for his senior year, get that degree. He would have been a top 10 pick in the 2021 draft at left tackle after losing to Alabama in the national championship. That's how good he was. And he basically told the coaching staff of Ohio State, I want the best 5 guys we can get on this offensive line. So they moved him to left guard, which is where he's probably going to excel in the future. He's a monster. He's one of the best double teams to backer. He's powerful, big, fast. He's got tackle speed in a guard body. Like, that's what Thayer Mumford is, and they got this dude in the 7th round. He should have been a first-rounder the year before. They grabbed this guy in the 7th round. What value? And then Britton Brown is just another guy who's got a ton of talent, really good out of the backfield. That's something the Patriots were always really good at, is finding running backs that can catch the ball. I'll put it to you like this. To me, he's Brandon Bolden's replacement. Brandon Bolden is going to be 32 years old. We brought him over from the Patriots. He's a running back. He's averaged more than 10 yards per reception his entire career. Per reception out of the backfield. Britton Brown is a carbon copy of this guy, maybe even faster. These guys are filling out their depth chart already, and we haven't even gotten past this first year. And I can't imagine what their evaluation is going to be like when they have a full off season. They have their entire recruiting program or recruiting and assessment program looking at all of these college stars and saying, man, I think the Raiders have like 8 picks next year. I can't imagine what it's going to be like having a first and second round pick along with 6 other picks that these guys can choose from with the way they value talent. It was very impressive this year.
I completely, man, where's that applause button? Gosh damn, Mikhail, you freaking hit this on the head, man. That was beautifully said, man. You're absolutely right. You take a look at, this is a science, you guys. I don't care what anybody has to say, man. Go ahead and say it's just sport. No, this is a science. There's a reason why teams like the Patriots win. There's a reason why things like this happen. It's not by chance. No, it's not rigged. I'm just saying, y'all. Some people just need to think differently. And, I mean, this coaching staff now, it is unreal. Look at the value. You're absolutely right, Kale. Look at the value in these players. You have to pay attention. Football season for these coaches never ends. It literally, I mean, what? You've taken a few weeks here off and there, vacation with the family, cool. But your eyes are always looking, oh, this guy didn't come out last year. That's funny. Oh, his draft stock fell. Oh, he's still here in the 7th round. Draft him. He would have been freaking 5th overall last year. I mean, you have to pay attention to these things. You have to have that photographic memory. Where have I seen that name before? That's interesting. In college, she led the SEC. You have to think of these things. And beautifully said. Oh, man, I'm so damn it. You got me more pumped up for the season now, damn it, Kale. I'm so excited for this right now. Man, I'm so excited. I'm looking at the schedule right now because, look at my chops, man. I'm so excited for this. Let's take a look at it. Courtesy of FBschedules.com. We have here, coming up first overall, man, those Sharks are going to be hard to beat. But, of course, we start the season with them. We have the entire AFC West, which I feel is the new powerhouse of the NFL this year because, seriously, why not? Amazing. We have the AFC South. Yes, we have the AFC South this year. And we also, if I'm not mistaken, who in the hell else do we have? We have the AFC South and the NFC. Whoa, look at that. How about that? The NFC West and the AFC South, if I'm not mistaken. The outlier teams are the Tennessee Titans coming out of the NFC South, or the AFC South, and I believe no, it's not them. Jacksonville. Well, that's fun. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming out of the AFC South here. So, I mean, we have a couple of different teams here. Oh, the Patriots, I'm sorry, out of the AFC East. That's another outlier team. So, them and the Titans coming out of different divisions. But, dude, what do you think, man? Looking at the schedule right now, what do you think in this year for these Raiders?
So, again, this division is so... Like, you mentioned the Chargers. I believe they're the most complete team in the NFL. I hate to say that, but
truth.
They've taken advantage... They've taken advantage of that Justin Herbert rookie contract, and they filled out this roster with the most complete team that I've seen in the NFL. Like they averaged more, they allowed more than 5.5 yards to carry last year. So what they do, they stuffed the middle with defensive linemen this year. They had issues guarding number 1 wide receivers. What they do, they went out for J.C. Jackson. Now, I've heard that there's some real character issues with this guy, like workout, stuff like that. Like he's just a natural athlete, and he gives up a ton of yards. But he doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns. So what they do, they go out and they sign him. And it was a value contract, dude. Like, a lot of people were predicting about $20 million a year, close to the Jalen Ramsey. Sorry, Ramsey type. Not Jalen Ramsey, I apologize. Yeah, I think that is. Jalen Ramsey out of the Rams. They were thinking that he'd have that kind of contract. No, they got him for $16.5 million. The Chargers addressed all their needs with the exception of that interior offensive line, which still needs a little bit of work. Mm-hmm. I still believe with Justin Herbert's talent, is he's going to probably ascend to that elite form this year. Like, seriously. As long as Brandon Staley doesn't screw it up and go for it on 4th down inside of his own 20, I think this team is looking at a 12 to 13 win season. So that could be tough as long as the Raiders don't have any injuries going into that first game. I do give the advantage to the Raiders because it's a new scheme. It's a new regime. Devontae Adams, J.C. Jackson can't guard Devontae Adams, and there's nobody in this league that can guard Darren Waller one-on-one. I do give the advantage to the Raiders because they've improved tremendously on defense, and that offense is just going to be so hard to stop. I'm throbbing at the mouth for week 2 because I'd love to rub it in our Arizona host face, especially after a little bit of a competition or speak. I think Kyler Murray, in my opinion, he's got a ton of talent. He's got a higher ceiling, but I think he's overrated, and he's kind of a crybaby. So I would love to see them just get dusted in week 2. It's going to be a tough game. I don't know how we landed the Tennessee Titans, to be honest with you. That's going to be a rough game if Derrick Henry is healthy. But again, we have a team that is much improved. Denver Broncos, to me, I know everybody's excited about Russell Wilson. They still didn't fix their offensive line. He goes from a team that allowed 43 sacks to a team that allowed 42. And the sad part is they didn't have a mobile quarterback last year, right? Mm-hmm. Drew Lock was garbage. He's hot garbage. And the Broncos didn't improve their offensive line. They're hoping that their experience just makes it better. I don't think he went to necessarily a better situation. When people say that Russell Wilson didn't have pass catchers, I think they're high. He had Tyler Lockett. I mean, what? Tyler Lockett? You had the big man on the outside. I don't know why I'm blanking on that right now, but he's one of the biggest, fastest wide receivers, DK Metcalf, in the league. And you're going to sit here and tell me he didn't have weapons? Stop it. Okay, he's not going to a better situation in Denver. They're going to really have to run the ball well, and I just think the rest of our division set up to stop the run now. Man. I look at the Denver Broncos in 4th place. And what's scary is I think the Chiefs will probably be 1 or 2. Well, the Chargers will probably be 1 or 2, and the Raiders will probably be 1 or 3. I know it sounds weird, but that's the room for error we have at the top 3.
Well, you know what?
And this schedule. What's up?
Oh, no, you're good. I was about to say, might as well jump to the final segment, man, because you're already kind of hitting on it and setting it up there. So, hey, might as well get there. Kale, I think you've got it all. That was the practice right there, if you will. Kale, let's just do it, man. How about those Raiders this year? You got it? You hit it for us? You know, you've been listening to the show all last week. You know this segment was coming. It's a fun one. You can sum up the AFC West in a nutshell, however you would like to. Talk about those other 3 teams I think they're going to do this year. And, of course, you know, go right ahead and tell us how you really feel about them. Nice and polite, mean and ugly, or a combination of both, however you'd like to. Kale, you know the drill, brother. 2 minutes are on the clock. Stick it to them.
I want to say like this, man. I'm really glad that the woman beater Hill is out of the division. I couldn't stand him. I don't think he should be allowed to play football. I think that's a big loss for the Kansas City Chiefs, but they still have Andy Reid. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have an older Travis Kelce, but he still does work. They added some speed. I think they'll take a bit of a step back this year offensively. But what I'm worried about is if those guys figure out how to run the ball, because their offensive line is underrated, and they got much better last year with Orlando Brown and that signing of one of the best guards, Joe Tooney, out of the Patriots last year. I keep tabs on them, too, because they're part of our division. I want to talk mad crap about the Chiefs, but we got to give them their respect. You know, they finally got rid of that crap hole of a person, great, who's actually already complaining about them, even though they gave him a chance. But I have to give them the respect because the Chiefs are what they are. I still think that because of the loss of Tyreek Hill, it hurts their offense a little bit to the point where they just don't have as many big plays. And if they don't go to the run game a little bit more, I feel like this team finishes 3rd in our division, believe it or not. I love the Chiefs in the sense the way that they run their offense and the way they run their team, but I hate the Chiefs because they're a rival. I still think they take a step back. Not a small step back, a huge step back, because without Tyreek Hill, I really think their offense is more limited than what it's been before. So they finished 3rd. Chargers, can't stand them. All 7 of their fans, they piss me off. But they have talent at the quarterback position. They have talent everywhere on that team. My gut feeling is they finish 1st. I think it's that year, man. I don't want to say that, but my gut feeling is they finish 1st with 13 wins. And then the Raiders, well, we'll start with the Broncos. They're hot garbage. I think they have a good defense. I think their offensive line is trash, and they're playing in a division where pass rush is key. And the Raiders might have the best pass rushing duo in the NFL, not just in the division. I think they eat up Russell Wilson. He has to stand on a step stool to throw the ball. He's best when he runs out of the pocket. There's no way he gets out of the pocket with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. And not to mention, if you haven't seen Russ, he looks like he's packed on a few pounds, like McNabb pounds, okay? He looks a little bit bulkier in that burnt orange, that little crappy burnt orange. So I think the Ponies finished fourth. Maybe have a 9-8 record, but I think they finished fourth. And the Raiders, they have a nice season. I think they finished second with 12 wins. Derek Carr has an MVP caliber season. Devontae Adams gets that 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. Darren Waller goes off. Hunter Renfrow, he might not have as big of a season as last year, but he's going to come in the clutch as always. And that run game, I think we see a defense that finishes top 10. I think we see an offense that finishes top 5, and I think we see a few playoff wins this year. Because even in the second place in that division, they'll still be at worst fifth in that playoff race, and I think they road grade teams until they get to the AFC Championship.
Well said, Kale. Well, first things first, all thoughts, comments, and opinions are their own here. Kale talking about Hill earlier. I'll throw that out there. But, hey, is what it is. I mean, I wish them all the best, but whatever happened. And that can go with anybody that did anything in any of these things. We just got to be touchy and say, alleged and all those things like that. But at the end of the day, hey, is what it is. I'm excited for football, and once again, wish all the best to Hill, great receiver. But at the end of the day, man, very, very, very excited for this season, man, and I'm so ready for it, man. So, Gail, you know the drill, brother. We have reached the end here, but man, it has been great. One last segment, man. Get that plug. Let everybody know where they can find you on Tuesday nights, and just let everybody know, man, where they can find you in general. Give that plug, brother. What you got?
Yeah, man. If you guys want a good time, you want to hear about Vegas, which I believe is the fastest growing sports market in America right now, especially with a Major League Baseball team on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to tune into IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio on Spreaker. Get at us. You can get at us on our Twitter at IE, or Sin City _IESR. You can get at me on my Twitter at Kale_Henderson. I'm the host, and we have a great time, ladies and sinners. Tune in every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We kill it.
Absolutely, man. Certainly excited for all of these great shows here at IA Sports Radio, and this is definitely one of them. So excited for that, man. Keep up the great work. We appreciate all you do, man. And, well, we are ready to rock and roll this season. Man, you got me pumped up for the Raiders, and I'm excited, man. So thanks for giving us some time here today, and helping record this interview, and we appreciate you, man. We'll look forward to speaking with you very soon. Look forward to having you back on the show, man, very, very soon. Take care. Have a wonderful week, brother. God bless. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
As always, man, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be back.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, and once again, we'll have you back on the show very soon. Take care.
Love, peace, and hair grease, brother.
All day, brother. Talk to you soon, brother. Have a good one. All right, so that was Kale Henderson. Great guy, man. Love it. Awesome stuff as always. And look forward to having him back on the show very soon. That will do it for the Raiders. Well, it is now time we dive off into Broncos country. We got ourselves a diehard coming after this, y'all. We just finished off the Raiders halfway through the AFC West. Time for Broncos country. Right after this, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 Divisions in 8 Days, the start of AFC Week, AFC West Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking Broncos after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and a weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are, 2 teams down in the AFC West and 2 to go. We started out way out west. Now we're moving inland towards, of course, the Rockies and Kansas City, from Los Angeles with those Chargers over to the Raider Nation, and now on over to Broncos country. Here we are getting ready and set to talk about the Denver Broncos. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad to have this guy here. I was just told some pretty cool information about him. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the 2021 Broncos Fan of the Year and overall diehard Broncos fan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here for hopefully his first time of many, Mr. Ron Katz. What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Oh, thank you, Larry. I like that intro. Oh, thanks so much.
You definitely deserve
Thrilled
it,
to be
sir.
here.
That's awesome.
Oh, thanks so much. But when you say 3 and out, hopefully that's something we're not going to be doing too much with the Broncos as in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm very excited about the new era.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think you guys, the AFC West, and me, of course, as a Raider fan, I mean, I'm a Raider fan, but I love football in general, and the AFC West this year is going to be great football. So I am so excited for this, and I know we're gonna eat it up this year in the AFC West, man. It's gonna be so much competition, so many good games, just. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun this year. So let's get with it, man. You guys, last season, the Denver Broncos would finish, courtesy of NFL.com, here, look at the standings. 7-10, not the best year. I know something you definitely don't want to spend too much time talking about, but man, courtesy of FBschedules.com, you guys started out the season 3-0, looked very promising, and then 4 games, man, a 4-game skid. Then you would go on a 2-game win streak. Okay, wait, here come the Broncos. No, a loss to the Eagles before the bye week. Then you get a nice victory over a solid Charger team, a loss to Kansas City at Kansas City, a victory over the Lions, and then that was it. You guys would go 0-4 to end out the season, and what a tough year. Mr. Ron, can you tell us all about your raw emotions all throughout last year as a Bronco fan?
We see, I'm a football fan too, and so I tempered that 3-0 start. You have to understand, that was against the Giants, Jacksonville, and the Jets, okay? Not exactly murderer's row or contenders for the Super Bowl. And so when the Broncos got into the real part of the schedule in October, they got some tougher teams like the Ravens, came really close in Pittsburgh. I was at that game. And then, of course, your Raiders on the day that we honored our newest Hall of Famers. And we don't want to go there with what your Raiders did. But the thing is, it was a season. It was a real tough season. There was a lot of optimism. But it kind of ended the way it had for other previous, 4 or so seasons with an average of 10 losses each season. You just can't have that in Broncos country. And I will say this. I know there's a lot of criticism sometimes from fans or otherwise to folks like John Elway, in charge of the team, and other people in the organization, Joe Ellis as kind of like the CEO. Those people lie awake at night trying to figure out a way to get better, to get out of this funk. These are people who truly, truly, truly care. It's not like some other sports teams that have stretches of 3 or 4 years and they're not doing well, and people are like, oh, well, we won a Super Bowl way back when, or, the fans should just be happy. This is a city that's sold out every game for over 50 years. Everyone really, truly cares. And they've done things the right way to try to get it turned around. George Payton as general manager, they did an outside search for him. They picked someone with great acumen and scouting background. And then in this past offseason, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but they also did the exact same thing for Nathaniel Hackett. I don't think he was necessarily, when they went into the search, as their number one guy. He might have been top 2 or 3, but they had people, the right people on the search committee, and they let the process go to the outside and figure it out. And it's how you do things. It's your process that can get things turned around in a situation like this. And of course, Mr. Wilson kind of is a little bit of an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock.
I gotta agree. I think Wilson coming in, man, is a very, I love it. I think that is a very big pickup to that offense. And well, let's go ahead and just get into it. I mean, my goodness, you perfect segue. My gosh, way to close the door on last season, and great segue into your guys' free agency. So thank you for that, Mr. Ron. Great stuff there. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Courtesy of a website I love to look at, of course, overthecap.com. Take a look at free agency. Some big departures, some big pickups. Of course, the elephant in the room, Russell Wilson coming over from the Seahawks. Bridgewater, of course, heading over to the Dolphins. You guys would lose, Kyle Fuller headed over to the Ravens. Also, Shelby Harris headed to the Seahawks. You guys would pick up guys like Billy Turner from the Packers. You'd also pick up DJ Jones. You have Bryce Callahan headed over to the Chargers. I mean, there's so many moving pieces. There's just so many. But once again, you can address any of those you would like, any pickups or departures. What did you think about the Broncos free agency this year?
Well, I mean, Russell Wilson was my number one choice and wish list. My fellow fans of the year, especially, I think my friend from Seattle, kind of gave me a dirty look every time I said, "Can we just have your quarterback, please?" And but I'll tell you why, okay? It's not because he's a great quarterback, and he is. It's not that Aaron Rodgers isn't a great quarterback. Of course he is. But Russell Wilson is someone who makes everyone around him better. if you've ever seen his persona, it's positivity, it's pulling people up. Think of everyone who's listening right now and yourself. Think of work situations you've had where you really flourished, or where you were like, oh, do I have to get out of bed this morning and go into work? And Russell Wilson is the one who brings the best out of you. Not only, of course, if you're a wide receiver, but just even on the defensive side, he's the one talking positive. And it rubs off on people when you've had, for the Broncos, unfortunately, 6 years since that Super Bowl and 50 losses in 5 years. It really makes a difference. I may tell you a personal story. I went to the Seahawks game in Houston last year, and I saw something after the game I've never, ever seen any player do to that extent or at all. So Russell Wilson does his TV interviews on the field. The game's over. And of course, it was a game against the Texans. He basically kind of just said to the Seahawks, no, we're not losing this game, despite how crappy you're playing, and took control of that game. But what he did, the locker room was on the far end of the end of field I was at. He went to the far end of the field and literally walked around the track perimeter of the field to thank fans who had visited from Seattle to see him and the Seahawks play, took selfies, occasionally an autograph, gave some equipment away, but literally went almost the whole circumference of the stadium. That's amazing. That's the type of person you're getting. I mean, that's like when the cameras are off. I was at a Good Morning America thing in Minneapolis Super Bowl week where he was there with another prominent NFLer. He literally stuck around for every last picture or to meet and greet people. That's just infectious. And it's going to give the receivers, his offensive linemen, his coaching staff a lot of confidence in his defense. Hey, we got, I heard the imitable Aqib Talib when Peyton was here say, I'm never going to criticize Peyton because as long as we got Peyton, we always have a chance to win. Peyton Manning's my quarterback. He would smile ear to ear. It's going to be the same thing with Russ. There may be some challenges early, everyone getting used to each other, new coaches, new systems, until you actually get to experiment against teams and games that count. Peyton was 2-3 his first 5 games, and then the light bulb turned on after halftime of Game 6. So I'm really excited about that. The other folks, I hate to see Noah Fant and Shelby leave, and Drew Lock to an extent, because they added a lot to this team. Shelby found himself as an NFL player. Noah Fant could go crazy in Seattle if you have any fantasy teams out there. I mean, the guy, Pat Shurmur, was throwing him 3-yard out pass patterns on 3rd and 6, and then he had 2 people on him, and people would say, well, why didn't he get a first down? The guy, you got to put people in space. And Drew Lock was in a system that worked to his strengths, and Shurmur basically put him in a system that worked against his strengths. So, and I want to add one other thing, too. Regarding Russell, you also have Justin Alton as an offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach, and others who will put players in the position to be successful. And I believe also game plan at halftime or throughout the game and change things up. It's going to make a big, big difference. Even El Giro Avero, who's our who's our new defensive coordinator. He's got help with Don Capers. You're not going to see the same predictable Broncos coming out at halftime. Like if you remember your Raiders last year, the game that was in Vegas, the Broncos had control of that game through some lucky breaks and their own breaks, and you guys came out at halftime with a 12-play, 13-play drive, and the game was never in doubt. And that happened to the Broncos, I think, against the Eagles and other teams when it was close. So you're going to see differences with this new coaching staff as well, leveraging these players to be successful for what they do good, rather than say, here's our system, you fit in it, and, oh, hey, Mr. Opponent, well, we're going to do the same thing all game, so we're not going to, we're going to be predictable for y'all. I think that's going to make a big difference for the Broncos this year.
I love that, and you're absolutely correct with the everything, man. That was amazing. Great segment. You need to get into radio. That was awesome, man. And definitely the Russell Wilson, I love how you brought about is how much time he spends, and then of course talk about that Raider game. I remember it. Honestly, man, great stuff, and certainly great pickups here in free agency. Let's take a look here about at this draft, courtesy of ESPN.com. No first round draft for you guys. Draft pick.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, we did. You see on the first round line where it says Wilson, Russell.
You know what, Rob? I'll take that. I will wholeheartedly take that. Yes. Your first round pick is a tried and true Super Bowl champion caliber quarterback. Yes, you are correct, sir. So I'll take that. Second overall pick, however, with the 64th overall pick, Nick Bonito. Absolute monster of a linebacker. I'm a big fan of this guy. I think he's a very, very good player out there on that film. You guys will pick him up. Greg Dulcich, I don't want to butcher his name, but tight end out of UCLA. I'm a Pac-12 guy myself, even though they're not going to be in the Pac-12 much longer, which is really annoying. I don't want to get into that, but regardless, I think this was a great pickup there. Solid tight end there. You guys have Mathis now for us, Damari Mathis, corner out of Pittsburgh. Lots of good pickups this year. But what did you think personally, sir? What did you think about these Broncos draft this year?
Well, I think it goes back to what I mentioned before. If you look at who's doing the shopping for the groceries, so to speak, as far as the draft, you have George Payton, who has an impeccable history as a scout and as a personnel guy, leveraging that scouting ability. And like, if you go to last year, a lot of folks were very surprised about Patrick Surtain II, right? Thought that we would go quarterback. And this is a guy who's projecting to be the next Champ Bailey. No pressure there. Yeah. Javonte Williams, beast mode kind of running back. And then some guys in the third round, the Belly, Quinn Miners, and the guy that's not talked about as much, who could have as much impact as this year's draft this year, is Baron Browning, the great Ohio State linebacker. He had some injuries, and it was in the middle last year, and he still might be used to cover tight ends, I would think, because he's so fluid. But he's a guy that they're moving to the outside this year, and so there's going to be opportunities, especially early with Gregory being injured, and rehabbing through camp, and maybe ready right around the start of the season, and some other potential injuries. So he's going to get some chances as much as Nick Bonito. But Bonito's great. Most draft rankings had him as one of the best value picks on day 2. And for the Broncos to be able to do that for the 64th overall says enough. And Greg Dulcich, the big thing with him is we lost Noah Fant, so he's a receiving tight end. He's also a decent blocker, but he fits this system. Again, you want to make sure the players you get fit the things you're going to be trying to ask them to do and play to their strengths. You still have to work on your weaknesses, but that's what the Broncos and George Payton have done both years of his regime, and there's a plan. He realized it wasn't, hey, no offense to John Elway, when we got Joe Flacco, the soundbite was he's going into his prime. Well, Joe Flacco was not going into his prime, like maybe 10 years ago he was, but the thing is, it's a very methodical process under George Payton that, hey, we have to add talent over a period of years. We have to turn things where we keep on adding young talent and do this every year rather than try to hit a home run here and there kind of thing. And so I'm optimistic, but, I'll say this. Every NFL team pretty much and their fan base, they're making plans for Canton 20 years from now based on their current draft class, and we all know that that's not realistic, right?
Yeah, I totally get you, man. So with that said, awesome stuff, brother, and I completely think that you guys have – this is such – oh, man, I just can't I can't wait to watch, man. The AFC West is going to be so much fun to watch. The Broncos, literally, you guys got a lot better. And well, let's take a look at the schedule. Why not, right? Courtesy of fbschedules.com. Man, look at this. So this year, of course, the good old AFC West. We are taking on the NFC West, which is like the powerhouse division in the NFL right now, next to the AFC West, in my opinion. And then there is also the AFC South in there, if I am not mistaken. Yes, and then the two outlier teams for you guys are, let's see, who are the outlier teams? The Jets in the AFC East.
And the Jaguars.
And and the Jaguars, yeah.
But the one thing that happened to the Broncos, the Panthers are the outlier NFC team, but the one thing that happened to the Broncos in a bad luck kind of way is because of the way tie breaks work, the Broncos were clearly last place. Well, the Baltimore Ravens, because the wheels fell off with all of those injuries, they ended up in a tie for last place, and because of the tie break, they ended up being in last place. So Denver has an early December game in Baltimore. So that's, not going to be fun. That's not a cupcake last place team that you would normally get for being in last.
Not at all. I totally agree with you there. Just you look at that schedule, man. What do you think, Ron? I mean, looking at the schedule right now, how do you feel your Broncos will do this year?
I'm optimistic, but Rome wasn't built in a day or a year. And I remember, I hearken back to, if you remember the Broncos of 2011, very entertaining team because we had Tebow mania, and people in Pittsburgh don't find that very amusing because of what happened in the playoffs. But it was an 8-8 team with a lot of roller coaster kind of things. And then Mr. Peyton Manning became available, and there were a lot of expectations to build upon that 8-8, but people didn't know what to expect. Well, the Broncos started out 2-3 that year. They had a tough Monday night game in Atlanta. They lost a game, I believe, to the Texans at home. They even got down, and as a Raiders fan, you probably find this amusing, but my Chargers friends don't. They fell down 24-0 to the Chargers in Game 6 at halftime. And the Broncos scored the next 35 points and never looked back, did not lose another game the rest of that season. So I think it's important for Broncos country to have realistic expectations, until you can have all the practices at Russell Wilson's compound in San Diego. You can have great training camp. You can have, good preseason games, everything clicking. Till you get into games that count, you're going to have hiccups. Receiver's going to run the wrong route, or someone's going to miss an assignment. They're human. And so I'm optimistic. It looks on paper, of course, we got the Seahawks to start, but it's an emotional game for Russell. They certainly want revenge because here he is coming to town. The tickets for that game, by the way, are, I think, $400 and up for nosebleeds, face value. That's how big a game that is there. You've got the Texans at home. Should be an easy game, but should be. You never know. And then you've got a real physical game against the 49ers at home. Then the Broncos go to see your Raiders. And on a short week, play at home against another physical team, the Colts. And then go to play the Chargers until the Jets and Jaguars game. So it's important to come out of those games with a positive record and feeling like you're in sync. And of course, the Jaguars game's in London at the end of October. And that's not a gimme, only because the Jaguars always tend to play better in that game. It's kind of like the Lions at home on Thanksgiving. They always give a pretty good fight in that game. So that's going up into the bye week through the first 8 weeks. So, I mean, if you could get to be 5-3, 6-2, that would bode well. I really think the Broncos, I'd say 11 wins would be great. But again, you're in this incredible division that's very competitive. And you just don't know, with injuries, with one play here and there, how things will go. And the Broncos do have a rookie coaching staff that's going to try to find their feet. I'm enthusiastically optimistic about it, but, I don't want to say, they're going 17-0, 20-0, something crazy like that. In my dreams, I'd rather, the bigger thing I'd rather have is Randy Gradishar in the Hall of Fame after being bypassed unfairly for 25 years, and that's close to happening. We're hoping to get some good news on the finalist and then the announcement in the next month. But I digress.
No.
So I'm optimistic about this year in a lot of ways.
Agreed. And awesome, man. Awesome stuff, man. I'm so glad you're on today's show, Mr. Ron. So here's what we're going to do, good sir. We have one more segment left, and this one is always so much fun because of how differently everyone approaches it. Some people are just a fan from hell, crazy, hardcore, screw you. Some are just really respectful and just love the game and just say good things, but throw a few daggers in there just for fun. And some have a mixture of both. That's always how fun this segment is. And, well, that's why we have the segment on the show for so many years. Well, here we are, Mr. Ron. We have gotten to stick it to them. Now, tell us how you think the other three teams are going to do this year. And, of course, tell us how you really feel about them. Once again, you can be very nice and respectful. You could be mean and ugly. Or you can have a combination of both. You have 2 minutes on the clock to do this. Mr. Ron,
Okay.
Stick it to him.
Oh, I'll stick it to them. But I do want to say I love trash talking, but we all are fans of our teams in the sport because we love it. And we have much more in common than we don't. And we all know about the Twitter and social media trolls who act as if you just stole their lunch money if you didn't say something nice about their team or said something good about your team. I love our division. I love our competitiveness. I think the rivalries are better when our teams are good. Raiders, Broncos, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chiefs, and, of course, the Chargers. I can't even talk trash about the Chargers. I defended one of them because someone was trolling her, and I literally had the entire Chargers nation, both family, sending me thank yous and following me. They have a great fan named Jen Mills, who is their fan of the year, and she's a really kindred spirit. I love the Chargers as long as they're not playing us. As far as the Raiders, well, the Raiders will be the Raiders. But specific to the Hall of Fame, with my journey for Randy Gradishar and some of the Broncos, I've partnered with some of their folks. I follow their big super fan, Wayne Mabry, and some of the others.
Violator.
And we could talk trash all the time, but I've worked to get Tom Flores, Cliff Branch, and some of their greats in. I think you're in for a treat when you have your special teams coach giving up punt return touchdowns and all sorts of other things, who was here for way too long in Denver. And Chiefs, well, you're the champs until you're not. We got to knock you off. But remember, the Broncos have lost only one home AFC championship game in their 62-year history. And guess what you all have done in a little over 3 calendar years? Twice. That's all I will say. So don't be talking trash about my Broncos until you figure it out. And that's all. And also, finally, if you're out there, Randy Gradishar deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If you're able to, Gradishar, FORPFHOF is a hashtag, and please get that going for Mr. Gradishar. He deserves to be in, and we're getting very close. And I'll let you in on a little secret, Larry. I was part of an initiative. I sent a letter to the new president of the Hall of Fame begging them to add more than one senior per year, because we're seeing people like Cliff Branch get in posthumously. It's important that these greats and their families be able to enjoy it while they're alive, not the way that we've seen, Pat Boland's family and Cliff's in the next week or so enjoy it. So we need to really stay on that together as fan bases so the Hall of Fame continues to get our seniors in.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Where's that applause button one more time? I agree. Well, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for your time today. Wonderful way to end it off. And yeah, I completely think that just this division is going to be so much fun, and it's diehard fans like yourself, myself, the great people we have on this show here today. That's what just make it even better. So, Ron, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time today. I know it's been a crazy day. I've been recording everybody all day long here on Sunday, but thanks for making the time and dealing with all of my delays. Everything.
Oh, no. football is family. Are we still recorded?
Yeah, we're still on it.
Well, football is family, as they say.
Yes.
We're all in this together. This is a great sport we love. It's and have great passion for. And if anyone is on Twitter, you can give them my handle, Ron, the letter N, and then Cap Hill, all one, all together. I can give you tips on visiting the Super Bowl host city. I've done that 16 times, and Phoenix will be 17 of the last 22. And there's a lot of free and cheap stuff you can do. KC has the NFL draft there. There's a big festival, viewing opportunities. There's a lot of ways to be engaged beyond going to games and not spending a fortune.
That is awesome, and I seriously appreciate that. Hey, you already got your plug, so good job there, man. And please, all Broncos fans, make sure to give this man a follow. Awesome guy, and man, I really, really, really look forward to having you back on the show very soon. That was a lot of fun, Ron, and thanks again, man. Thank you for all that great stuff today, and hey, man, have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to having you back on the show very soon, man.
Thanks so much, Larry. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate
and
you.
Go Broncos.
I love it. There you go, brother. Hey, we'll talk very soon.
Let's ride.
Thanks again.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. Hashtag let's ride. You like that one? Is that one good?
Hey, that's Russell Wilson's hashtag. Let's ride. Well, let's ride.
It's coming aboard. I feel like I can see it happening, man. I'm excited to see him play there. So, hey, man, thanks again. And like I said, we'll talk to you very soon, man. Have a wonderful day, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, y'all. Mr. Ron Katz, what a job that was, man. Great stuff as always. Wow, this has been a great show. We started things off with Taryn and the Chargers, then Kale and the Raiders, then Ron with the Broncos. Well, we're coming up next. Who's the Chief fan? You guys are going to find out right after this. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, the kickoff of AFC Week with the AFC West right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking Chiefs Kingdom after this.
What's going on, everyone? Are you a fan of the greatest sport in the world? Then do I have the show for you. This is the Soccer Scoreboard Show, hosted by me, Andrew Hagenball, where I will take you on a journey around the world of soccer, talking important news, scores from all major leagues, including some you may never heard of before, tournaments, and so much more. Be sure you tune in every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Mattello, the host of the Yinzer Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com, part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Were you listening to a great game on USRN, but then the Wi-Fi crashed in the final seconds? Or do you simply want to listen to the best calls we here at USRN have to offer? Well then, you need to go check out our Audio Boom page. It holds a collection of our best calls that you don't want to miss. How do I get there, you ask? You can download the Audio Boom app and look up Ultimate Sports Radio, or simply go to audiobook.com/Ultimate Sports Radio. And as always, thanks for listening and making USRN one of the most talked about sports networks on Mixler.com.
Are you a fan of the best teams in the Buckeye State? Then this is a show for you. This is the State of Ohio Sports, where I, your host, Andrew Higginbotham, will bring you all the professional news as well as all things college from Northeast Ohio and Cleveland all the way down to Southwest Ohio and Cincinnati, and even in the heart of the state in the state capital of Columbus. So if this sounds like the show for you, check out the State of Ohio Sports show every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, there you have it. AFC West Day has been an absolute blast. Starting things off with Taryn and the Chargers in LA. Then we headed on over to Sin City to talk about those Raiders with Mr. Cale Henderson. Then we went on up to the Rockies to talk Broncos country with Mr. Ron Katz. And now we have reached our final destination of AFC West Day, as we are now in Kansas City with a guy that you are all too familiar with. He is, once hosted our Kansas City sports show. He moved on to our PR department, where he has done an incredible job. He is also a freaking actual wrestler, which is amazingly awesome. And the guy is just overall a great dude, man. I'm so glad to have him here today. He's a busy dude. His life is just like mine, just like Cecilia's and mine over here. I tell you guys all the time, every week, how crazy everything's going. And we got this going and that going, this going and that going. Well, he's, on board that train as well, with going a million miles an hour to who knows where, doing who knows what, but doing it in the most positive possible way, but still probably being brain scattered, much like a lot of us. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have him here on the road, just doing so many awesome things, and of course holding down the PR here at IE Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to say, proud member of the IE Sports Radio PR department, and just overall great dude. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Brandon, the franchise Buck. What's going on, brother? Glad to have you here today, man.
Very glad to be a part of this, Larry. Thank you so much.
Hey, brother. Anytime you can get the franchise aboard, it's a good day. So I'm just saying, man,
sure.
it's been fun. And, well, it's time to talk about those Kansas City Chiefs, man. We have had a great show today. I'm telling you, Taryn, definitely some great stuff. Kale and Ron, and man, they had some pretty good stick it to 'em segments. So I'm looking forward to a great stick it to 'em segment from you. So let's do the dang thing, Brandon, and jump on into it. Last year, man, the Kansas City Chiefs, you guys did it again. 12-5 season, just overall really good season for you guys. It wasn't the best, I know. Probably dropped some games. You could probably think, no, we should have won that. But regardless, solid year. 14-6 overall, 5-1 in the AFC West, and, well, long story short, you were one of the best teams in the NFL last year, as per usual, in this past era. So, looking courtesy of SBSchedules.com, you started off the season with a nice victory over the Browns, then you dropped 2 straight. That was really concerning to the Ravens and the Chargers. Of course, the Chargers are getting much better, but, I digress. Anyway, then you guys would win a nice game over Philadelphia. You lost one to the Buffalo Bills. Okay. You win one to the over Washington. You lose one to the Titans. Okay. Then you guys go on a, 8-game win streak, just eating everybody alive, including my Raiders, who you destroyed 48-9. I'm not forgetting that one. And then a nice little victory over those champion, by the way, AFC champion, Cincinnati Bengals, 34-31. It was a tough loss, but then you guys end off with a nice victory over Denver, 28-24. You go to the wild card, you defeat the Steelers, 42-21. You go to the AFC divisional round, defeating the Buffalo Bills 42-36 in overtime. And then, just as we thought the Lamar Hunt Trophy might be going home, well, it goes somewhere else. You guys lost a tough one, 27-24 in overtime to the Bengals, and that is where the season will come to a close. My goodness, but what a year. Brandon, Buck, please tell us, man, give us every raw emotion from you last year as a Chiefs fan.
I think when you've been a fan of this team since the Joe Montana era, and you've watched this team from then on, you get used to the fact of being a losing team, such as my Kansas City Royals, even though they did win today.
Yay.
However, here's the thing, though. But here's the thing. When Patrick Mahomes was first drafted, there was very 50-50, and I believe that Shannon Sharp was one of them, that it was a bad pick. Obviously, he ate his words. And, I mean, seeing the kid progress from being an absolute cannon out of Texas Tech and moving on up to where he is today, he literally is the prince of Kansas City. He's got some ownership with the Kansas City Royals, and him and his wife Brittany attend Sporting KC games on a regular. I believe, if I understand correctly, Brittany is part ownership with NWSL Kansas City. So, I mean, they're planning on being here for a very long time. It's not like they're going to end up their contract with whatever and they're going to move on by. He wants to stay here, and he's already progressed himself to basically make his baby girl and then their newest, who's going to be due soon. They're going to be set for life. So, I mean, being a real anything fan and having a player who is that in depth with his town, and not just side charity works that you hear on NFL commercials, but like legit is a part of his town. I mean, it's very rare for us to see. And watching him has been such a blessing because, it was 50 years before the Kansas City Chiefs made it on by to the actual Super Bowl itself, which was just absolutely emotional for me because I got to experience something that my mom and my grandpa both witnessed. And now I got to witness it, just like with the Kansas City Royals winning the World Series in 2014. But it's an emotional ride, man. And anybody who knows me knows I'm very passionate. I completely flood my Twitter feed with, Kansas City play-by-play and whatnot, especially during a game. Lots of swearing. Because if I'm swearing on Twitter, I'm doing exceptionally well in real life, and I probably lose my voice the next day, especially after a loss. But that's just how it is for me personally as a Kansas City Chiefs fan. It's a hell of a roller coaster, and you just hope that the ride lasts longer than the last time.
Man, beautifully said, and you could feel the passion. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what we're all about here at IE Sports Radio. So, great stuff, man. We closed the door on a great season. I know it wasn't ending with a Lombardi, but man, what a great season. Well, let's get on over to free agency real quick, Brandon. You guys had some interesting moves here. The first one, of course, we've got to address the elephant in the room. The Tyreek Hill departure to the Dolphins, Tyrann Mathieu going on over to the Saints. Those are some big ones. But hey, you guys would acquire Juju Smith-Schuster. You guys would also get Ronald Jones from the Buccaneers. I mean, lots of moving pieces. Lots of them. My goodness, I see so many of them here, courtesy of overthecap.com. But what do you think, man? You got also Marquez Valdez-Scantling, at least lots of moves. What did you feel? What did you think about free agency this year for your Chiefs?
You know, when news broke out about Tyreek Hill, I thought because we see it so much, in all honesty. We see so many, Twitter reports and whatnot, and it ends up being a meme. But in this case, it was 110% real. I had no idea that this was even a thought, because I thought that, with somebody like him, he deserved to be a part of the team for X years with X paid. But before we knew the bigger picture, that's when everything broke down. And next thing you know, 3 hours later, he's already signed a contract with Miami, and that just absolutely broke my heart. Here's the thing. Like the guy or hate the guy, yeah, and he has a very controversial past, whether he was acquitted or whether he was found guilty or this and that, yada, yada. I could even, this is for a different program, but I could even say the same thing about Vince McMahon with everything that's come arise to the general public now with his past. But the fact of the matter is this. Tyreek Hill gave us hope as Kansas City Chiefs fans. Him, Patrick, Travis, Mecole Hardman, et cetera, et cetera. These guys brought forth so much hope for the team. And then for one of their biggest stars to just end up and leave and go on, and to get that paycheck. I get it now that I'm older, because I used to think, and from what we talked about off the air, I used to think that, loyalty and this and that was number one and money was number two. Now I completely understand as you get older, you have more responsibilities and this and that. Money kind of chimes in number one, whereas everything else is number two. And that's unfortunately the brunt end of the stick about it. But seeing what had happened with so much cap room that we got, because of the Tyreek Hill trade and how much, we could afford, it definitely brought back that hope. It was almost like we completely forgot that we even lost Tyreek with Juju Smith and Marquez and everybody else and whatnot. We it's a different team. Now, granted, is Juju young? No, absolutely not. But is he still very agile and talented? 100%. His time in Kansas City might be shorter than others, but just due to his age and what have you. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. I'll be honest. I'm not 110% familiar with him. I know the name. I know that who he's played for in the past, but I never really focused on him because he wasn't wearing the red, white, and gold. So. I'm excited to see it because from the highlights that I've seen of him, he's a very fun player to watch. And I think his chemistry and his dedication to what he's been doing off season, where, during a time where he's not required to do anything per se, he's been working out hard with Patrick Mahomes. And so is the rest of the guys. And so that just shows the dedication that they want to bring a Lombardi trophy back to Kansas City. And I take great respect in players that actually want to do that instead of just, I get having downtime. I get when you're just fully exhausted and you just want to stay at home. But these guys are putting in the work, and I definitely have high hopes that it's going to show this season.
Great stuff, man, and I love that. And honestly, I agree. I think this division is disgusting, man. I love it. This AFC West is going to be so damn competitive with all these big names and everything. Coaching is tons of great stuff. So let's take a look at the draft real quick. First overall draft pick for you guys, the 21st overall. Great job, man. Trent McDuffie, corner out of Washington. I'm a Pac-12 guy, and I just feel like that was a great pickup, man. You guys certainly needed, a little more in the secondary there. Great job. You guys had another first round, of course, Jord Karlaftis, I believe is how you say his name, defensive end out of Purdue. Very solid edge rusher, and I think probably one of the best in the entire draft. You guys got yourself quite the pickup there. Sky Moore, wide receiver out of Western Michigan. I mean, lots of big pickups. Brian Cook, safety out of Cincinnati. Leo Chenal, I don't butcher his name, linebacker out of Wisconsin. Just lots of big pickups you guys picked up here. Regardless, though, I do got to say, and of course there was lots more towards the end and everything, but when it comes down to it, I thought you guys had a pretty good draft. You know what? You guys have a solid team now, and you guys added some pretty solid pieces here. What did you think about your guys' draft this year, Brandon?
So, with Karlaftis, I like the fact that he started out early with his hard work and whatnot. I can't remember where I read from, but I'm pretty certain that he lost a little bit of weight during his pre-draft process and whatnot. So that shows that he wants to, not get lazy, not get stagnant, and he wants to stay fit and to the best of his abilities. Now, the only problem is that dude needs to, he's a crucial part to the success of the Kansas City defense. If he can't stay healthy and produce, then the Chiefs are going to find themselves with a talent deficit, and that's just the fact. That's the same with McDuffie too. I mean, McDuffie is absolutely crucial with him being a corner. And so, I mean, one of the big things about the kid is that he has football intelligence. He keeps himself in a good position to take away options from the other team, from the quarterback and what have you. So, those are two crucial things. I mean, if he has that vision and he can see things, it's kind of like when I teach these kids, about bartending and whatnot. I can have a conversation with somebody right in front of me, but I also use my peripherals without anybody knowing. So then I can see if somebody on my left or somebody on my right needs to have another refill or what have you. So, same with being a corner. If he has that vision where he knows where to turn his head and where to keep his eyes while he's turning his head, then he is going to be a big time part of the defense. You got Sky Moore. What is he? Second round. I think he was in the 50s or something like that for his pick. But regardless, I mean, this dude, I think he was rated maybe a 70 or a 71 for his projected rookie grade. And, I mean, that's pretty good for somebody, like Sky Moore. And it sucks because of the fact, and I can't remember when because I'm drawing a blank, but I do know he had a leg injury or a hamstring injury or something like that. And he suffered that before rookie minicamp. So, I mean, that probably put a deficit on his performance for obvious reasons. I mean, I don't know how he would feel. I know that when I strain my leg, I walk around like I'm absolutely crippled and I make everybody do things for me. So, I mean, he's one of the most exciting prospects in the wide receiving category. But the hamstring injuries that he suffers from, that's what's going to cost him. And I'm excited for him because I think his usefulness is really going to bring some hype to the team with wide receiving and whatnot and help us distract ourselves from the Tyreek Hill loss. However, any athlete will tell you hamstring injuries take a time to heal. And if you're constantly working it, I mean, you're not going to get that same progression. It's kind of like a piercing. You just have to leave it alone and let the body heal itself. You can't just continuously work. Unfortunately, athletes don't understand that. Not saying that they're not intelligent, but it's just the fact, when you're an athlete, you just have to keep going, whether you're hurt or not. I know that with professional wrestling. I know you know that with football. Oh, yeah. I know other people know that as well. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. But there's a lot of good things going on by us. I can't think of his name now. Brian Cook. Dude is a standout tackler. His potential is there. It's just, once he can unlock different sets, he's going to be he's gonna make a big impact to the team. So I think he also got the same rating, like a 70 or something like that. So there's some definite hopes. A lot of changes. We don't have Tyron anymore, which I was really sad to see. He was my favorite player, but got to do what you got to do. And unfortunately, as anything fans, we sometimes forget inadvertently that the NFL is a business, and it could be our favorite player of all time, and they decide to go a different route. I'm sure people in New England felt that exact same way when Tom left to go to Tampa Bay, and they didn't understand it, but here we are. So anything's possible.
Absolutely, and great way to put it. Awesome analysis on the draft there. Very much so, Brandon. Awesome stuff there. Well, there's only really two more things to get to. The second to the last thing is take a look at the schedule. So, looks like this year, this mean old AFC West is going to be taking on the NFC West, which is like the other powerhouse division right now in the NFL. And it also looks like we're taking on, if I'm not mistaken, the AFC East. The AFC South. And then we have two outlier teams here. Looks like it's gonna be who are they? The outlier teams. Okay, so the Tennessee Titans with the AFC East. No, they're not. They are not there. I'm sorry, my apologies. It is. There we go. Now I found them. All right, so looks like it is going to be the AFC West, the NFC. Wow, this is crazy. NFC South. Wow, this is crazy. I'm looking at the schedule. I am all over the place. Wow, okay. So this schedule looks very, very intimidating, yet not. So it is, in fact, the NFC West, and it is, in fact, the AFC South. Now, the outliers are the Buffalo Bills out of the AFC East. And if I'm not mistaken, let's take a look here, and I see the Bengals out of the AFC North. Now, that is quite the schedule. This year is going to be a very tough year in the AFC West alone. But now looking at the NFC West, which is going to be another really, really tough division to take on. What do you feel right now, Brandon? you guys... You were the champs last year. I think you were the champs before that. The Chiefs have done a number on the AFC West since Reed has gotten there. You guys have ran this thing. What do you feel this year? Looking at the schedule, what do you think you guys got? What do you think you guys can do this year?
It's fun as a Chiefs fan to kind of gloat that, the Kansas City Chiefs run the AFC West, and we will be the AFC champions again. That's all pure and fun. Now, when it comes to facts, there's not two teams that don't make me more nervous than anything. Well, I take that back. Three teams. It's going to be Buffalo and Cincinnati and Los Angeles. And it's just because, you have, you got Joe, you got the kid out of the Chargers, and you got Josh Allen, and what have you. These guys showed up, and I think that's half the reason why. Nobody expected us to lose to Buffalo or Cincinnati or Los Angeles, simply because of the fact we've always dominated them to an extent. There might have been a few games that we lost to Phillip Rivers when he was still there. The last game I remember distinctly that we lost was in the AFC Championship when Joe Montana got hurt and we lost to the Buffalo Bills before the Super Bowl. I don't remember any real threat. Joe Burrow. I don't remember any real threats when we took on Cincinnati, which was very one and done. It was kind of like a few seasons ago when we took on Tampa Bay, maybe once, and that was during preseason. So, there's a lot of different things that are developing here. Now, let's talk about Las Vegas. Other than Derek, y'all just signed with, what's the kid's name? Devontae Adams. Y'all got somebody else too. I can't think of it off the top of my head who I'm thinking about specifically. But, Las Vegas is turning into a scary team too. And, again, you see it all the time, and I just cringe, and I just roll my eyes oh, my God, typical Kansas City Chiefs fan, you're on the coattails of this and that. You guys are going to lose eventually and be humbled. Yes, oh my God, because these people are stupid. They just want to poke fun. They don't know when to shut up. I will speak for every Kansas City Chiefs fan when I say that, yes, there is a majority of people who have not watched this team since the very beginning, or whatever the case may be, who just started watching them because they went to the Super Bowl twice, and they once and twice, and they they think like, oh yeah, we're going to win all the games because we got Patrick Mahomes. No, you have got to be realistic. You've got to get your stuff. Patrick Mahomes is an elite player, but sometimes he gets hurt too, and we have to sacrifice just to make sure that he stays okay, and that might actually mean that we sacrifice the game and we lose because we just didn't have the right reinforcement to go with that. I don't know. You have to adjust with Las Vegas this season, indefinitely. You have to adjust with Buffalo. You have to adjust with Cincinnati, and you definitely have to adjust with Los Angeles. Yeah. Am I worried about Tampa Bay? Yeah, of course I am, because it's Tom Brady. I'm going to be nervous whenever we take on Tom Brady. Is it possible for him to lose? 100%. There's a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans that remember that game when it was like 42-20-something. And you see that meme of Tom Brady in New England where he was just grumpy looking at the score and whatnot. It is possible to beat Tom Brady. But am I expecting it every single time just because of who we have on the roster? Absolutely not. So looking at the schedule, really, I mean, we got teams like the 49ers and the Jaguars and, even though Russell Wilson's on the team, we got Denver. I'm not too worried about them. But other than those four that I labeled, especially since we're closing out the season against Las Vegas, at least I believe we are, and we have Cincinnati, I think, like in December or November or something like that. It's going to be rough, man. But, unfortunately, you can't always, despite what fans say, you can't give easy schedules to everybody. And sometimes you just have to prove their worth to relay to the hype. Tom Brady doesn't have the easiest schedule in the world, and it shows that he can lose. New England, what was it? It was that one season. New England lost to Miami in overtime or something like that, and nobody expected that at all. And sure enough, they announced it. Yeah, Miami beat New England Patriots. The Chiefs are advancing to the playoffs, and I think that was the year that we made to the Super Bowl and we beat the 49ers. But regardless, my answer after that long rant was, it's going to be a hell of a year. And realistically, just like every other year, I'm excited. I'm nervous about some games, but I can't get nervous or worry about it until probably after the first half when I see what kind of football that they're playing that day.
You know what? That's a great answer, and honestly, wonderful stuff there. Now there's one more thing to do, and this one's always fun. You know what it is. I know what it is. Brandon, this is the segment where, we can talk a little crap. It's fun. It's always great. You definitely had mad respect right now for all the other teams in the division. Maybe not so much for others. I don't know. It was fun. I enjoyed that. But now it's time to have a little bit of fun. You can continue with the respectfulness. You can throw a little more mean and ugliness, or you can be balanced right in the middle. Whatever you want to do. You talked about the Chiefs season. Now, how about you talk about those other three teams in the division that you don't seem to care for very much? Once again, you can approach this nice and respectful, mean and ugly, or a combination of both. Without further ado, how are those other teams going to do this year? And you can also tell us how you really feel about them. We've got 2 minutes on the clock. Brandon, stick it to them.
All right. So looking at the schedule for everybody, I'm making that up. I'm not looking at the schedule for everybody. But for the other teams, I believe Los Angeles is going to have a good season. Yeah. Will they be a winning team? They probably will. The Las Vegas, just because they've struggled for so long and this and that, it might be a different season. I could be eating my words. But I think it'll be a half and half season for them, and they really have to step it up towards the end of the season if they want to try and make it to the playoffs. When it comes to Buffalo, I think they're going to be an evened out team. I don't think they're going to be a humongous threat, but they are definitely a threat that people need to take seriously, that teams need to take seriously. Cincinnati, I could see them just being a one and done. I see the storytelling of the old goat versus the young horn. People now, they were saying how Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes were going to be the Peyton Manning and Tom and Drew part 2, or Peyton and Tom part 2, or whatever. Now, just because Patrick Mahomes lost, they put all of that over to Joe Burrow. I don't think that he will not have success, because he definitely showed his worth. Do I think it's going to be consistent? Absolutely not. I think he's a one and done for a little bit. We'll see what happens. For the rest of the teams, though, I don't really see any big competitors. I don't see anybody who's like a top tier threat. But then again, I've been spoiled with the AFC West for so long that it's hard for me to pay attention to really anybody else unless they've actually made a humongous factor. I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but I sure as hell know who Tom Brady is and what he can do on that field. I'm not a Drew Brees fan, but I sure as hell know what he can do on that field, and so forth. So that's just a matter of fact. And I mean, I can't really throw any bullets at any team or whatnot, because every fan has their team, whether they like it or they don't. But it's their team. I mean, we give you a lot of heat just because you're a Raiders fan, but I mean, it's your team. You grew up with the Raiders, so it's your team, whether they win, lose, or draw. It's my team. I've gone through hellfire and brimstone with Kansas City Chiefs, and now for like the last 5 seasons, we've had a very successful team focused on it. So it's all up in the air. But those 4 teams that I mentioned, I don't think that they're going to be superior. I do think that they're going to be successful. I don't think anything much of Joe Burrow, other than the fact that he had a great year, but I don't think it's going to be consistent, and he's going to have to really prove himself in the upcoming years for his seasons.
Man, great job. I just asked for the AFC West, and Brandon's like, no, I'm going to give you the AFC, homie. Like, great stuff, Brandon. Hey, as always, man, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for stopping by today and giving us some time out of your busy day. Thanks again, man. It's great to hear all the great things going on with you, the wrestling world, everything you're doing, man. It's just wonderful. So, final thing, man, let everybody know, where can all these diehard Chiefs fans find you, man? And anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I can tell you this. Let's just go with the gimmicks here. So you can find me on Twitter at Real Franchise. You can also follow me on the IF Kansas City page on IESR_KC. And so, in which case, I sometimes pick jabs with our wrestling guy just because he knows it's me and he knows that I'm going to do it. But it's all fun and games. And then also, I'm not exactly sure if I'm allowed to talk about this or not, but because of the fact that it's not really in our circumference of listeners, I think it's okay. August 6th, I might be having a non-sanctioned wrestling match in Independence, Missouri. It's kind of like a tournament. However, it's professional wrestling. The only difference is that the ring is not going to be an 18x18 wrestling ring. It's going to be a very hard boxing ring, but it's going to be professional wrestling inside of a boxing ring. That's up in the air pending on the circumstances. And then indefinitely on August 20th in Lawrence, Kansas, at I believe it's Lawrence High School, I will be ring announcing Premier Independent Wrestling. It is our second show. I've signed with them earlier in the year where I was a ring announcer, and I debuted with them back in April of this year. And now I'm coming back to them, and it's actually going to be closer instead of 2 hours. It's actually going to be a 25, 30-minute drive for me, which is going to be great. And I'm going to be ring announcing and not getting beat up this time. To be continued on that story if I continue to be a ring announcer or not. And other than that, a lot of my wrestling announcements will be on my personal page on @RealFranchise, and 99.9% of Kansas City everything and anything will be on the IESR_KC page.
Man, great stuff as always. Franchise, Mr. Brandon Franchise Buck. Appreciate you, man. Thanks again for spending some time with us today, man. Thank you for all that great news and just looking forward to all these great things coming for you, brother. So, hey, thanks again, man. God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful week, and we'll have you back on the show very soon, man. Thanks again.
Absolutely, Larry. Take care of yourself.
Hey, same here, brother. You too. Take care. Thanks again. All right, that was Brandon, the franchise, but great guy, man. What a job! What a way to end off AFC West Day, right? So glad he can join us, and really enjoyed that segment there. Well, that's gonna do it for the AFC West, you guys. When we get back, well, we are talking about my final weigh-in for the AFC West. Oh, this is a tough one, but we shall see. With that said, you guys, big ups to everybody who joined us today. That was awesome. Taryn, Kale, Ron, and Brandon, franchise Buck. That was awesome. And, well, like I said, we'll see what I'm thinking for my final weigh-in coming up after this break. Once again, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week, day number 1, 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 5, that is. AFC West Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back with my final weigh-in of the AFC West after this.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS. Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Football fans everywhere. What a show. Can we get a hand clap for every one of our guests today? What a job. Incredible stuff from everybody. And yeah, I couldn't be more pleased than with how that show went. Awesome guests. Taryn putting it down for Chargers. Kale, of course, getting down for the Raider Nation. Ron and Broncos country. And good old Brandon Franchise Buck showing you what's good in Chiefs Kingdom. And over there, man, all has been good recently, right? But I'll tell you, this is a very hard division, extremely hard division to try to dissect and to even try to pick an order. I did. It's probably not going to be very accurate, but this is just how I see things with how or who these teams have added. And it just seems like it could very possibly look something like this. But once again, we can make all the guesses we want to. And, well, guess what? Yeah, it can be incredibly wrong. So, I think honestly, this is definitely one of the best divisions you can watch this entire year. I mean, if you have a game on and it's two of these teams facing one another, if you have games on Sunday, you might want to watch this one. Like, for instance, I have a Sunday ticket that I love dearly. And if you have, your giant screen of games on, I think it's like 8 games. And if you have it on this week, there's always that game this season, there's always those games that you want to hover over, like, to give the audio. My apologies, guys. I'm still putting tweets out there right now and everything, trying to get my final weigh-in tweets out there. But this division is going to be so fun to watch because the games are going to be so close. There's going to be big plays made on both sides of the ball. I mean, it looks like the absolute funnest division to watch. These players are going to go all out because what goes into the mentality of an athlete is very easy. No one's going to beat us. Why not us? Let's go dominate. And that doesn't matter who you play for. Okay, when you get around a ton of talent and you're on a very talented team, that attitude just multiplies by like 1,000. Okay? And when you're on a team that is talked about and that is given tons of hype, as an athlete, you really start to feed into the hype. Even if you don't feed into the hype, you know that it's there. And you're going to go out there and play to your absolute best ability. That's every athlete, especially professionals. But I feel like it's a little extra oomph when you're getting, when you're at least, you can't escape the media, you guys. You could try really hard. It's hard. You can not have your phone on and all these things, not watch ESPN. Somewhere, somehow, somewhere, man, a cousin's going to call you and be like, hey, man, talk about you on ESPN right now. I'm just saying, the hype is going to be there. And not feeding into it is very hard. And staying humble, of course, that's not hard, staying humble. But what I'm saying is these teams are expected to ball out. These teams are expected to give us the performance of the 2020s, all right? I mean, seriously. And we're also, in the AFC West, we're taking on the NFC West. And that division, I mean, I guess you can say all but the Seahawks, but even the Seahawks are still pretty potent. 7-10 last year and finishing last place. Like I said, guys, that's still a strong division. And they're kind of like, well, you'll see me right now when I compare them. Because I will compare the AFC West to the NFC West a little bit. But there's so much hype. And as an athlete, you're going to go all out. You're going to hear the interviews, the interviewers and all those things, reporters. You're going to catch a lot of these things. And at the end of the day, deny. You want to. We're doing our best out here. We're trying to. It's hard to escape that hype. Okay. So what I'm saying is these athletes know. They're not stupid. They know exactly what's at stake in one of the absolute craziest divisions ever put together this year. Between these four teams, how well they've been put together. And right now, I just I know that these training camps are going to be heated. There's going to be so much surrounding these training camps. There's going to be just tons of media, tons of stories. So once again, you got your Sunday ticket on this year, and you got the 8 games on and everything, and you just happen to see a AFC West game and all AFC West game. You might want to hover over that one because you're probably going to get the best show, I'm not saying that's, 100%, but I'm just saying it's more than likely because of how well these teams are put together. So anyway, you guys, that's my little, tidbit there. And let's go ahead and get on into the division itself. So very simple. My final weigh in is going to look a little something like this. I feel that this team is without a doubt, sorry, the Chargers. I'm sorry. Tweets and everything's coming in, guys. My apologies. But I feel that this Charger team is without a doubt one of the best Charger teams I think I've ever seen in my lifetime, if not the best. I mean, those old school LT teams that we see back in high school, or that I saw back in high school, were pretty solid. Those I would consider like the best Charger teams in the world, well, in ever. And it's no surprise that I'm going to go with the Chargers first, but you're going to see who my second is and why I did what I did. So I'm going to go with the Chargers between 14-3 and 12-5. I think that's fair. And for somebody who says, oh my gosh, you gave them 5 losses, let's not forget about how strong the rest of the rest of the division is. And this year, the AFC West and the NFC West are playing each other, you guys, and they're like the other powerhouse in the NFL. We might just get an AFC West, AFC AFC West, NFC West Super Bowl this year. I'm just saying, you guys, it's very possible, okay? So, yeah, I think the Chargers could possibly get up to 5 losses, maybe more, but I think 14-3 to 12-5 is very fair. The Raiders I have in second. It's funny, Terrence said earlier here that he thinks Chargers are going to win it too, but the Raiders will be an extremely close second. A very, very, he put like 25 times in the chat room. Close second. And honestly, I think so too. I honestly think the Raiders can actually win this thing too, because the Chargers slip up just a little bit. The Raiders are on them, and I think they're going to take it over. I have the Raiders at 14-3 as well as 12-5. I really think that I have faith in this team. It's been a long time since I said anything positive about this team, but I think they're going to make it happen. And it's going to be between these two, I think. But Chiefs fans, don't freak out. Because once again, either of these teams slip up. The Chiefs are right there as well. I do have the Chiefs at 13-4, or between 13-4 and 11-6. The reason why is because they're still a very potent team, insanely good, talented team. But I just feel like losing Tyreek Hill is going to be huge. I think right now it's just having to re-gel. They had their thing on offense, with the departures and everything here and there. It happens, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs can end up going freaking 15-2 and winning this whole thing. Once again, this is just from what I see, from what I'm looking at and everything, and I'm not even being a biased Raider fan because I don't have the Raiders in first place. Second is good enough. I think I had them second last year too. But overall, the Chiefs are absolutely potent. I think once again between 13-4 and 11-6. I think they're all 3 playoff teams. I really honestly think that this year the Chiefs, the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs will go to the playoffs, and I honestly think that the Cardinals, the Niners, and the Rams will go to the playoffs as well. I think we're going to get 3 teams from each of these divisions. Now, am I being mean to Broncos country? No, because once again, if anybody slips up, the Broncos are also right there too. Russell Wilson is nasty. He's got to get a little time to gel with the team, I think, and probably by next year, my gosh, this division will be out of their mind. But I think the Broncos this year will probably be in the basement, and I have them as high as 11-6, you guys. Once again, this is all depending on who does what, who's good, who overperforms the records that I've given or underperforms the records that I've given. So, and they're probably saying, how can that happen? No, but no, I say anywhere from 11-6 to 8-9, and I really think that that's what it's going to look like. Look at last year, the AFC North. You had 2 teams at the bottom at 8-9. You had the Seahawks at the bottom of the NFC West at 7-10. It's very possible, which just means they get beat up on other divisions. But then again, it could also go to these records get dropped a little bit because once again, we're taking on the NFC West. So these are just what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at. These losses here have a combination of the NFC West in them. That's why I have them, with a certain... If this wasn't the NFC West, my gosh, these records would probably be even higher because these teams are so dang good. But my comparison is the Chargers are a lot... If I put them side by side, Chargers and Rams, the 2 LA teams, are like tip-top. And right beneath them, you have Raiders and Niners right behind those 2. And then immediately behind them, it's Chiefs and Cardinals. That's the way I kind of put it. And then the 2 teams that you got to put in the basement, even though they're still really potent, I think, and, they're pretty solid, is going to be Broncos and Seahawks. And then going throughout these 2 divisions, when they face each other, I honestly want to really give... I mean, seriously, I might just devote some time with a special episode of 3 and Out coming up to just break down these 2 facing each other and give you my score predictions. Seriously, this is exciting. We don't get this very much, where we have 2 powerhouse divisions that are almost identical with how good they are with the talent, and then they play each other that season. I'm just saying, this... I don't think I've seen this once. Maybe I have. I don't know. But this is crazy. So I'm really excited for this, guys. I'm going to be geeking out on it, man. So that is it, though. One more time. I do have those Chargers up front between 14-3 and 12-5. The Raiders right behind them, also at 14-3, between 14-3 and 12-5. The Chiefs right behind them, between 13-4 and 11-6, and the Broncos at the bottom, but still strong at between 11-6 and 8-9. This is going to be incredible. So, with that said, you guys, so many great people in the chat room, man. Big ups to Kale. and Taryn, and man, what a great show that was, and I am just, oh man, it's going to be, this rest of this week is, the tone has been set, man. So many great things here, so many great people we've had so far, and this has just made the series that much better, as it always is every year. So thank you to everybody, and well, there's only one thing left to do, and that's cue the music, because we're out of here! All right, football fans, that is going to do it. The AFC West is probably, wrapping your head around this one. I feel a lot like how I did last Monday, where my head wanted to pop, okay? Thinking about who to put where, and I mean, it's crazy, right? But it's all good, because there's plenty more football to go. Man, tomorrow's going to be another good show as well. Stay tuned, tomorrow, same time, same place. We're talking AFC East. Day number 1 of AFC Week was amazing. Tomorrow, we are talking AFC East. Some great guests there as well. I'll tell you, that's a fun one. There's lots and lots of characters in this one for the fans, and oh, they're awesome. They let you know how it goes down for this AFC East this year. So that was pretty fun, or how they think it's going to go down, that is. On to Wednesday, we're going to have the AFC South. Tons of great stuff going on there. And, a very, I don't say wide open division, but 2 teams at the top. I think we know who they are, because they possibly, be competing very, very strongly for that division. And then we're going to end it off with the AFC North on Thursday. That's another great one. Super excited. Like I said, last season, the 2 worst teams finished 8-9. Are you serious? That was incredible, right? So this is going to be a great rest of the week. So much great football, so much talent out there. And, well, you put it all together and you have this beautiful National Football League that we all know and love. So, with that said, great show. Thank you to everybody who was a part of it today. Thank you very much to Mr. Taryn Rodriguez, Mr. Cale Henderson, of course, Mr. Ron Katz, and Mr. Brandon, the franchise Buck. That was a lot of fun. It was great speaking to every one of you and putting this show out there. And I'll tell you, this is going to get better and better all throughout the week. Thank you to everybody last week once again for the NFC Week, and for making the show what it is. As I always say, big shout out to, of course, the man above, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, nothing is possible. And big shout out and thank you to all of you listeners out there. You guys are amazing. Without you guys, this show ain't possible. None of our shows are possible. So we really appreciate you. IE Sports Radio isn't possible without you guys, listeners. So we appreciate you all so very much. And that is going to do it, you guys. Tomorrow, tune in. 10 a.m. Pacific time. 1 p.m. Eastern. And really, really, really fast. You guys have 38% Chargers, 25% Raiders, 31% Chiefs, and 6% Broncos. Hey, thank you to everybody who voted. We think alike. With that said, we'll see you tomorrow for AFC East. See you tomorrow, y'all. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.